on screen. I'm like, that's getting his hate tweet up. Hello and welcome to the 4Corners podcast. I'm Brad, joined as always by Matt and Shad. Gentlemen, how are you doing this evening?
Doing all right.
Doing fine.
I actually remembered to unmute you after the intro. But okay, so we have some Masked Madness this week. If
We got a little bit.
If you're wondering about the stream title, anyone watching, it's a joke. So there's a comic called Control Alt Delete. Is it still going? I think it's still going. But it was like it started out as like late 90s, early 2000s gamer comic strip, and he got the bright idea to do this like miscarriage comic strip, which is the guy like running through the hospital, and it's supposed to be like really sad, and it just got memed on endlessly. So there's whole memes like mocking it, and he did this whole thing, and today was the 18th anniversary of that comic strip happening.
So help me out with something here, because I've been at kind of a loss, as no pun intended.
Pun intended.
As to why it got memed on as hard as it did. Like
because people felt it was an inappropriate subject for like a 4-panel comedy strip to tackle in the way it did, and then he reacted poorly to it, and he did this whole forum post, and then that's what caused the memeing on it, was his like blog post about it.
Oh, okay.
He lolcowed it, and then it got memed.
Him getting butt hurt and pitching a fit, and just saying this was something, instead of saying this was something I was dealing with. And
no, I don't think he was
this
even
was part
dealing
of my processing. Or
he wasn't even dealing with it in real life.
He just threw this into the comic.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Never mind.
So like, yeah, because like, I mean, I don't think it's like a forbidden topic, but it's kind of like, man, this is kind of, people's reaction was kind of like, man, this is kind of like a very personal and deep thing for you just to toss in a humor comic.
Yeah, no kidding.
He did not
react. Like a mood whiplash. It's
Yeah.
like a mood whiplash thing. It's like you're just mostly about jokes. Like, why are you trying to be all, serious?
Some of the memes are hilarious though. My favorite is the Logan Paul one where he has that stupid hat on when he went to that suicide forest, running in for it. But they always make me laugh. And like we posted the meme because there's one that's just the lines of it, which is hilarious.
Yeah, so yeah, it's become like a pattern. And by that I literally mean like the panels, like the character, it's like 4 panels, and mostly it's the character like upright running, whatever. And there's also his girlfriend, but it's like based upon the direction of where the characters are, their orientation, everything. There's like lines, and so it's like line, and people have posted just the orientation, basically lines drawing or like the orientation, and it's become like a recognizable pattern. So like maybe if you're not familiar with it initially, or you don't grasp what the pattern is initially, you can look at it and be like, why are you just showing me a line? Oh, and you get the joke.
Yeah.
Like, and people have incorporated that into like many different things, like memeing that referencing that specific
Yeah.
meme. Yeah, I think it's clever. I always appreciate it when I see it because I know the
Yeah.
joke. It's like an inside joke that people, if you know, you know.
Well, it's infamous
Uh,
enough it has a Wikipedia page.
yeah, those
So
are some of the best. Like, and some things have like, well, at least in American society, pop culture, things have kind of entered like at least somewhat like the lexicon or internet lexicon. Like you guys have heard of like milkshake, something got milkshake ducked.
Mhm.
Have you heard? Do you know that? What
Yeah.
that is?
Mhm. Or sea
Chad, do you?
lion.
I don't know that one.
It's based. Let me see if I can explain it well. It's based on a tweet by I think a user named Pixelated Oat or something like that.
Okay.
But it's become like a meme to kind of explain how things can get very popular and go viral in our society,
Mm-hmm.
and then immediately like they get kind of like they fall out of favor because you find out that the thing that went viral is actually very problematic. And the tweet
Okay.
is like it's like the perfect encapsulation of that, because the tweet, it was meant just for comedy, but it's like the tweet goes like it's in the voice of someone like you're seeing like the national news or like an Entertainment Tonight or some sort of thing. It's like, everyone loves milkshake duck, the lovable duck that loves milkshakes, and it's like 5 seconds later, we regret to inform you that milkshake duck is racist. It's
I tend to
like,
think
what?
of it. I tend to.
How did we go from A to B so quickly?
I tend to think
That's
of.
pretty fast.
I
Yeah.
tend to think of it from the era it came from. I tend to think of it more as like it's something fairly innocuous that people like, and then some jizzbag reporter has to ruin it, so they go dig up something they did like 15 years ago. And then
Yeah,
they were like,
that
"Oh
gets
my
that's part of
God,
it too, yeah.
Milkshake Duck, when he was 16, can you believe it? A teenage boy did something insensitive and said something like mildly racist that wasn't even racist at the time."
That's actually that's a real life thing that happened, because
Yeah.
wasn't it like like the Midwest? It was like some guy
He
who
did
it,
he put a sign up on game day that was like need beer money, and he had his like Venmo or something, and he got like some absurd
or it was
amount
like
of
a
money.
GoFundMe.
No,
Like a
no, no,
GoFundMe or something.
it was a
Oh, it was
joke.
Ben.
And he
It
got
was just like
like
his Square. Here's my
yeah,
Cash App.
and he got
Like,
like $10,000 or something.
yeah,
Which he didn't.
he got like at least 5 figures, and then it became a
Yeah.
thing where people were donating, because he said, "I was just starting this as a joke. Like, if whatever money you send me, like I'm not. It was like tens of thousands of dollars. It's like I'm obviously not
Yeah.
gonna keep this money. I'm gonna just donate it to charity." So then people were like, "Oh, so you're gonna donate to charity? Like, now I'm gonna really donate." And then it just grew and grew and grew.
Yeah.
And then some reporter in the Midwest, like it was in Illinois or someplace. It was in the Midwest. He digs in and he finds like this guy who's like early to mid 20s,
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
yeah.
He goes back, and like 10 years ago, the guy on like social media posted basically rap lyrics.
Yeah.
He's Caucasian guy, white kid.
Yeah.
And when he was a teenager, he posted like rap lyrics, which of course can use inappropriate language,
Well, and
specifically
it needs to be
racial
putting
language.
it needs
We
to be
know the word.
and it needs
And
to
he
be
was just
put in
quoting it, and it's like,
context.
you could say like, well, as a white person, you probably shouldn't be like repeating that even as a lyric, but it's like he was a teenager, he's this dumb kid, and he wasn't like, oh, I love this word. He was like, he's repeating the rap.
He
He's
was
like
doing
this-
he was doing the dumb teenager copy paste the lyrics
yeah,
thing.
and you can argue like, well, as a white person, you probably should not do that. But it's also like
The thing is,
there's
though,
no intent that it looked like he was trying to do ill will, versus just he's a white kid who liked the music, he was like repeating it.
the
And
thing
that
is,
was 10
though,
years ago, and
the
the
thing
guy's
is,
now
though,
like
I
trying
have
to doing money for charity, and it's like you're trying to cancel him. But
I
this is a
do-
rare case where like the reporter got canceled, because people raise
Yeah.
not just think that the paper like fired the reporter. Like, you
Well,
tried to ruin this kid.
I just get sick of it. I get sick of it because I get tired of. Well, there's two things I get tired of. I get tired of when they dig something up they did as a teenager, and it's like
Yeah.
it's like, oh, a teenager did something insensitive. Like, this is my shocked face.
Yeah.
But secondly,
Oh,
then
teenagers trying to be an edgelord. Oh,
but then
how
like
shocking.
secondly, I hate when they go back and find something from like 2008. And people are really bad about this with a lot of stuff now. And it's like they said something, and they're like, "Oh my God, can you believe they said this?" And I'm like, it was the internet in 2008. Everyone said that, and then they like
Yeah.
want to get them in trouble for it. Like there was an unsolved mystery about I don't know. They were this guy obviously committed suicide, and the new Unsolved Mysteries loves taking like obvious suicides and like trying to
Mm.
make it seem like more than it was. And they
I was
dug
going
up
to say,
his
how many people clenched up just hearing that Unsolved Mysteries theme in their head?
well, and then like so they dug up stuff he was doing and
He's
like
made a grisly discovery. It's like, yeah,
and they were like, well, and it just shows ignorance though, because so they dug up this guy's internet history, and this we're talking like this is like early 2000s, late 90s, and they're like, well, he must be gay because he was posting in chat rooms, and it was like big titty blonde 69. I'm just sitting there like, oh my god, like you guys obviously weren't on the internet back then. Like
Yeah.
it's just like he was just fucking around. Like he's like it's nothing, and they'll do that with a lot of stuff from like that era. It like because
Yeah.
they either don't know or they want to like they kind of
They
want
want to
play on
score
people's
points
ignorance.
by looking down on someone and attack. They want to be able to punch down, is
Yeah.
what that is. I want to be able to punch down on someone. So I'm going to take this person that might be doing something good, and I'm going to attack whatever nice thing that might be affiliated with them. And it's like, okay. So you can't figure out anything else to do with your time other than try and tear somebody else down. And this is probably a case where it's the person they're tearing down is doing something that's getting good attention. It's just like, come on. Never mind.
That one thankfully has kind of died down, because I think a lot of people are like, I don't like because I think what people got tired of was acting like someone a decade later has not like changed. Yeah.
Matured, especially someone who was like a teenager. Now you're talking about someone they've now become an adult.
Yeah.
Speaking of more, well, I'll do one last example of like the kind of trope or memes stuff. But you guys, the one that's really gained a lot in the last like few years, it's almost like a 5-year-old tweet. But you guys know like the Surf Dracula tweet?
No.
Oh, really?
Oh.
That's great, because that applies so much now to like modern day content. The tweet was from October 21. Topper Florence is the user. And the tweet is, back in the day, if you did a TV show called Surf Dracula, you'd see that fool surfing every week in new adventures. But in the streaming era, the entire first season got to be a long-ass flashback to how he got the surfboard, until you finally get to see him surf for the 5 minutes of the finale.
Yep.
And that has become like, it blew up, and people still like, even to this day, like repost that or to a screenshot of it. And it's like, it's become so popular in the last 5 years because it's dead on. It's dead
so
on.
true.
That's exactly the shit that we see in the streaming era.
Oh
that
my
it's
god.
Like it's like a long meandering season, and then finally like the thing that they built for. They do maybe, but it's like 5 minutes in the finale. And people were saying, like, he's not directly referencing it, but people were saying, which I don't know that the time would really like work out that, but people were saying like he's referring to like season 1 of the Netflix Daredevil, which it's like kind of true.
I was thinking the Alias one where like David Tennant was in that goddamn I like the first couple episodes, but David Tennant had been in the basement for like 3 episodes, and I looked, and there were like 4 episodes
Jessica
left.
Jones, not
Alias.
Jessica
Jones. It was the comic book was Alias, but like he had been in the basement, which felt like forever. And I looked, I'm like, oh my god, there's like 4 episodes left in this season, and I just gave up.
That's actually when I quit watching Jessica Jones.
I have a lot I could say about just generally like the Disney Marvel streaming services, but one thing I will say, it all started years ago with the Netflix Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
And all of those shows, so it was Daredevil, then Jessica Jones, and then Luke Cage and Iron Fist.
Mm-hmm.
All of them, the seasons went for
Punisher.
13 episodes. Well, Punisher then. I actually never saw Punisher, but at least of the other 4, they went 13 episodes, and it's like they weren't able to sustain it for the 13 episodes.
Mm-mm.
At least with the newer stuff, you can complain, and I would, about how but it's like they can pace it better with 6 to 8 episodes. The nonsense that we get with that nowadays is that you'll have shows that are like 6 to 8 episodes, and then they'll take like 3 years in between each season, and it's like, okay, no, you shouldn't be like even 10 episodes. It's like you shouldn't wait 3 years between seasons to do like 10 episodes. I don't even care if they're like an hour and you have high production. Like, come on. But anyway, like the
kills
back of the
me.
day, like those Netflix stuff, like they couldn't sustain the 13 episodes, and it was painful to get through. Like
Yeah.
Luke Cage, the first season of Luke Cage, like I never finished it. I was like, I gotta punch out. Like this got so boring.
I was done with it by then. I thought Daredevil did pretty good with it, but like what kills me though is when they don't even have to come out with like a new season every year. So you'll wait like 2 years for the next season, and then half of it's still filler. It's like, motherfucker, like at least make it good. Because that's what people used to say, like, oh, 22 episodes is just too much. It's like, yeah, and now we get 10 episodes every 3 years, and there's less happens in 10 episodes than in 22 episodes that people used to bitch about with filler.
We don't, part of it is we just don't have as good a writing team as things like Next Generation did.
Or even like, go watch Buffy, though. Go watch Buffy, where there were season-long arcs, and there were Monster of the Week episodes, but more would happen in a 22-episode season of Buffy for a single plot line than...
Yeah, and even... Yeah, stuff, they'd have like season-long arcs, but then they'd have like maybe mini arcs or things, and it would actually work out. Even look, generally like the content started getting bad.
Yeah,
maybe some of it started okay, but like when you did like the CW Arrowverse stuff,
yeah,
like some of that stuff started out pretty good, and then it got worse. But at least they, in like a 22 episode season, they didn't do just like so much filler. Yes, occasionally had a filler, and it got a little ridiculous. They started doing like, let's have every season we have to have a musical episode. It's like, you don't.
Yeah,
you
don't do that. Don't.
Yeah. You don't need it. This is not the Music Man. Don't do this. But they at least would do multiple arcs. Like I know I did watch Flash up until a point, and they would do like a season long arc, but they'd be like, all right, here's the villain for like the first 10 episodes.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna do another villain for like another like 6 to 8 episodes, and then we're gonna like conclude the season long arc, with like another 2, 3, 4 episodes, whatever. And it, again, the quality really started going downhill every season, but they at least can maintain it. Nowadays in the streaming era, it's not as good, but
that's a really good point.
Sometimes they can maintain it for 6 to 8.
So it's interesting because you brought up Flash, and Arrow just dropped off a cliff because the people that were working on Arrow wanted to work on Flash, so they left to go work on Flash. Flash did. I think I watched the first like 4 or 5 seasons because I'm not saying I'm not going to sit here and say Flash was amazing, but you know what?
I love the first season.
It was solid.
It was great. I thought the first season was great, and then it started going.
It degraded a bit as you went, but you know what? It was solid, and it was solid, and it rolled. And I'm like, okay, cool, all right, okay, and you basically knew what to expect. First third of the episode, we're setting up whatever the thing is. Middle of the episode, we're going to have some relationship drama. End of the episode, wrap up whatever this is, unless it's a 2-parter.
Yeah.
You know what? Cool. I can roll with that. And I will also give Arrowverse credit. When they did the Crisis on Infinite Earths thing, they did a way better job on that than I thought they would.
I got turned. I tried Flash, and it wasn't bad, but like Arrow turned me off pretty early because
Arrow's.
He was just such a douchebag. I hated I hated the whole like politics of it because he was like, I'm gonna get back at these billionaires that like screwed my dad over, and I'm Mr. like progressive, so I'm gonna like let these billionaires off with a stern warning. And
after you just killed...
I killed 50 minimum wage workers to get to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is a gigantic problem. Like, Oliver Queen being, wanting to be progressive and screwing it up, there's a long tradition of that from the source material. Okay, fine. But you failed this city, but... I could kill you for it, but I'm not going to. And then you turn and look over his shoulder, and there's like that wave of bodies. It's like, dude, this doesn't hack it.
Yeah.
Like, No, that's not okay.
And like the way he'd screw, he just was unlikable. The way he would like screw his butler, like his chauffeur guy over, and would almost get him fired repeatedly. Like it was just, I didn't.
Well, with everything, first of all, I've just killed a whole bunch of people, but I'm going to take the moral stand and not do it. That's the first thing. The first thing that pissed me off. The second thing that pissed me off and put me off of it entirely is they took what was a fun secondary character and then decided to make her the main character of a show that was not named after her. And I'm just like, never mind. I don't want to see this anymore. I'm out. I'm done. And I went over to Flash and I'm like, delightful. This is exactly what I was hoping for. And I had fun with that for a while. Okay. But we're not getting a lot of the same kind of stuff that we used to get in terms of writing. And they want to slam through all this stuff and put it out there. And it's like, okay, here it is. And we drop this here. And if we keep streaming numbers up, we'll do it again. It's like, okay, you understand the problem is that if you drop it all at once, you're going to have this huge spike at the beginning and then it's going to drop off. Because the people that were super excited for it have watched it. Like the rush to do it, they're going to watch it again, sure, but the rush to do it is gone now. So, you had some of them wise up, and like the Scrubs revival, which was smart enough to bring back the old writing crew and everybody. They did a good job. They drip fed it. I think six episodes per week. But it's like, God, are we doing this? Anyway, sorry.
And I think
rant over.
The last season of Stranger Things was pretty abysmal too, from what I heard.
Go ahead, Matt.
It got a lot of hate, and it could have been better. And the problem is that they ended season 4 thinking like it's going to go one direction, and then they made some different choices, and they presented that in a kind of a weird way. But people also were hating on it, and I'll give them credit. It could have been better, but it wasn't as bad as people made it out to be. I think sometimes people just hate on the internet to hate, and people are trying to trash the finale.
Well,
but I actually felt that
I know it got a lot of heat. Like the coming out episode, I know didn't go over well because
that was not done well.
Because even like I saw streams like with a lot of gay people. They're like, yeah, I like fuck that. That's not how it would have been in the 80s. Like
it wasn't, and it wasn't. I don't feel handled as well as it could have been. But at the same time, I think that would be believable, which the writing or the acting wasn't strong enough to really convey this, but they could have, is that, yeah, like attitudes certainly towards gay people back in the 80s were a lot different, a lot more negative. But you also were dealing with a group that had literally been defectively to hell and dealt with literally like monsters and almost dying and all sorts of different trauma together. Like it's really the equivalent of people who are in completely diverse backgrounds who, join the military and they get sent to a war zone. And it's like you can be, people from like, you could have someone from one race from like, a Yankee from upstate.
Yeah.
In the Northeast, and you could have, good old Southern boy, people who like ordinarily wouldn't have nothing in common, ordinarily like would not have like cared for each other, but now put them in a unit together in a war zone, and they're not only best friends but they're brothers and they will die for each other.
Yeah,
and so you could have conveyed like through everything they had been through and all like their years of friendship and what they had, the trauma they had shared and everything, you could have conveyed it. It's like, you know what, like, yeah, we don't understand what that is and it's a negative connotation, but doesn't matter, we love you, like we accept you. They could have done a little more with that.
The thing is though,
the writing wasn't as good on that.
The thing is though, like from what I saw of it, is it was just like a yay, you came out. And I think for a show that's supposed to bring you back to a certain era, like if you lived through that, or like you had friends in like your community that lived through that, and you know what like the gravity of even just getting found out was in that era, that's kind of fucking insulting, I think.
Well, I think that was The other thing that was kind of weird about that is like that's like a big moment. Oh, he like comes out, and it's like he wasn't even the first gay character in the cast. Like, and they could have played a little more with that too, but they didn't.
Yeah, but they
The
didn't.
one thing that it got the finale got like a ton of hate for.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying like, oh, it's perfect, like that there aren't some valid criticisms, but there are also unfair criticisms. And the thing that I feel it really should get credit for is that it actually did have more or less a resolution to the characters. I think
Mhm.
some of it was also like people just didn't like the resolution. It tried to do be kind of a little bit open to interpretation as to how one particular character, their ultimate fate, which kind of goes into like what, and they even kind of lampshaded it where the characters chose to believe a positive outcome for that character.
Yeah.
When in reality, it's probably like it was most likely a negative outcome. But they specifically say like, I choose to believe that, you know, they had a happy ending, but they had a resolution, and I think people didn't like that. They didn't want it to be. They wanted to be a happy ending. They wanted to not be ambiguous or left open to your own interpretation.
I think you can
but I
get
thought
away
that
with.
that was good writing.
I
good
think you
presentation
can.
of the story.
I think you can get away with. You can get away with either or, but with I think what happens with ambiguous, unless you pull it off well, which I think something that pulls off ambiguous well, because we talk about a lot. The wrestler pulls off ambiguous well.
I know what you're saying, but to be honest with you, I feel like it doesn't. It doesn't come right out and say what the end is, but
well, it's artistically
I feel like we know what it is.
It's artistically from his perspective too, so you wouldn't know because it ends then. Because if he dies, it would go to black anyway. Because remember, like with his heart starting to have problems, like But I think why people don't like ambiguous though, and I think you'd be better off going one way or the other, is people feel like you cheated them and that you were too afraid to go one way or the other, so you went ambiguous. Is I think what goes wrong there.
You know, I mean, a fair point. The amount of hate that like the end of The Sopranos got because they were like, so what's that supposed to be? And I think the showrunner or the writer came out and said, like, oh, it's supposed to be this. And it's like, so why don't you just do that? If you knew exactly what it was supposed to be, why didn't you just do that? And they don't
I
have
think
an
it was
answer
pretty
for
obvious he got killed. So, I mean,
the truth is that show wasn't for me. So, you know, whatever.
I had a lot. The Steve Buscemi season on that's really good.
Which one?
But
The Steve Buscemi, he's like
of Sopranos.
Yeah, I like Sopranos. I bet it doesn't hold up if I watch it now, but it was. I enjoyed it at the time.
There's been enough stuff that has come out that I will admit. Excuse me, I'm sorry. How can I put this? I have seen enough people. I've seen enough instances of people screwing up an ending that going ambiguous, unless it's really well done, just feels cowardly to me. And so I'm like, no, just do it. If you're gonna do whatever, you know, if you're gonna kill this character off or something, just do it. Don't sit there and be like, oh, I don't know just do it. Just turn around and do it. And they're like, well, people might not like it. Own it. Or maybe, like, I don't know. This is the internet. There's probably plenty of places where you could go and find out what people thought about it.
I think if you execute,
look at your fan base and see what it is that they're hoping to see and excited for.
I think if you execute it well, people are pretty forgiving. As long as you don't like fuck them over with the ending, which I mean,
which is what How I Met Your Mother did.
Yeah.
But
you have to. But I think what writers have to realize though is if you really botch the ending, like How I Met Your Mother, that like I think that hurt its legacy because people don't talk about it anymore, other than to say the ending sucked.
People don't go back and rewatch it because it's just like, oh yeah, it's just like how people are not going to go back and rewatch Game of Thrones. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Um,
Like, I think why Seinfeld survives is because the season finale is them getting their comeuppance from, like, all the people they screwed over in the previous seasons. And, like, it was kinda weird at the time, but if you do, like, a whole watch through, like, you're kinda like, "Oh, yeah, like, I kinda like the finale," because, like, they got what was coming to them.
it's that. I mean, I didn't like Seinfeld, so I don't really have a dog in that fight. It's an interesting choice, I guess. But in any event,
So, we
how did we
have
get here?
I don't know, so we have 2 matches tonight, so we're gonna do an old match, which is, actually, I found out there was another Owen Hart versus Barry Horowitz match earlier in '88, but that's neither here nor there. So we're doing it's an Owen Hart. We'll just do it first. So I guess these were tryout matches, if I'm guessing, because
Okay.
so this is Owen Hart under a mask as the Blue Angel, which
Yeah.
I think was kind of dumb because you can tell he's at least related to Bret Hart by his build, and like he does like a knee drop, and I'm like, God, that's like a fucking carbon copy of Brett. Like, I think a lot of people would figure it out, but
Well,
so
he he does one spot which I'm sure you guys recognize. He does the patented. I wrote in my notes. He did the patented Hart family. I'm going to destroy my fucking sternum by running chest first into the turnbuckle as hard as I can. He does
Oh,
that bump and
yeah,
that spot in there with Barry.
yeah. So this is Owen Hart as the Blue Angel against Barry Horowitz. You can find this on YouTube. So this is kind of interesting if you've watched a lot of like '80s WWE, because this is very it's always kind of modern in a lot of ways. Like, it would have been a tad slow for like a '90s Nitro Cruiserweight match, but it was kind of almost like prototypical of that. And I really want to say, like,
Yeah,
whoever was booking this, pairing up Owen like in kind of like a dark match with Barry Horowitz is like really good matchmaking. And because the thing is, like, this is really to put shine on Owen, but they picked Barry Horowitz, who is, I think, a really underrated worker. They picked a guy that could keep up with him.
yeah. Horowitz was underrated. He's always one of my favorite like job guys
Yeah.
in the WWF.
And the
Because
the
he could
back
keep
pat
up.
is such an underrated, like,
He had like charisma, like he could do little things that could get a guy over. You know, his selling was good.
his work. And I
Um,
mean, and like for stuff like this, he could keep a good pace. He had a pretty versatile move set, so like he could actually, like, a guy doing all this crazy shit like Barry could kind of keep up with him.
I
I
appreciated. Oh, I'm sorry, Matt. Go ahead.
I was just gonna add to what Brad was saying. Like, yeah, like cruiserweights, this is not going to be anything like that from the '90s. Is not You're not going to compare it to it. And we also were a few years that really a lot of people had seen this, and I felt this is more like stuff you would see like on tape. But
Muda hadn't
the
even.
Tiger
Muda was like
the
6 months away at this point too.
it was early, but I mean, I was gonna say like from the early '80s, you saw like Tiger Mask, uh, Dynamite Kid, uh, some of that stuff in like the WWF.
Yeah,
But that was
and
years
Muda had
years
been
removed at this point.
around Florida and world class as like the White Ninja, I think, at this point too.
But if you're watching like the WWF at the time in the '80s, like you didn't see that. You didn't see like acrobatic stuff really. So even Owen going out there and doing some of the stuff where it's like, he's like in an arm bar and he's like, doing a
The kip
roll and a
ups.
flip. Yeah, and kip stuff like that. It's like that immediately, it's like, oh, like it sets him apart and makes him seem like, this amazing cruiserweight. I wish he was a great worker, no, no, but I'm saying like it made him seem like, oh my God, high flyer, like Owen Hart, like he was somebody special. And I remember like in the early '90s, before we even got to Lucha stuff, but in the early '90s in WCW for like the year or two he was there, like when Too Cold Scorpio was in there doing stuff, and it's like him doing like 450s, it's like blew my mind. I'm like, what is this? Like, who is this guy? And nowadays, like, you probably see more crazy stuff on an average like Dynamite, you know,
I remember
They
seeing
do.
Scorpio doing an acai moonsault from the middle rope out to the floor, and just how everybody reacted to that at the time, and I was just like, "Holy crap!"
Well, I remember the dumbasses in WCW brought Muda over, and I mean he was a heel for his whole run, and then Gary Hart talked him out of turning face because he'd lose a job, but like they were trying to push him as like a heel, and by like the second week of TV, he's getting pushed because he's getting cheered because you're putting this guy doing all this crazy shit in front of like a bunch of Southern like work rate fans.
Yeah,
And so he's getting pops and shit because he's like doing dives over the top rope and
he's doing cool looking stuff.
yeah.
As a heel, you probably shouldn't be doing a lot of cool looking stuff. Probably, not for certainty. Probably, but the course of watching this, I'm watching it, and it's like you said, this is very clearly a tryout match, because Owen's going out there and doing like the "hey, hire me" spots, you know. And for me, this is a hallmark. So many arm drags. Oh my god, so many arm drags. It is I'm at a lot. I had a metaphor for it, and I can't remember what
That
it
was
is.
kind of
But
like a high flyer thing at the time though,
well,
for WWE.
I'm in a place where after going through training, arm drags to me are either I don't know what else to do, or I don't feel like doing shit tonight, kind of thing. And so if I see a bunch of arm drags, it comes off as you know, bland, unflavored oatmeal to me. It's just kind of like, oh. And that's what I see a whole bunch of arm drags in this match, and because it's always the same thing, arm drag into that arm bar. All right, I got this here. All right, now what are we going to go into? And you go into something completely different that doesn't have anything to do with the arm.
Well, but I think for this though, it's a good pace setter, especially for like what like contextually, because it's catching people's attention not because of what Owen's doing, but because Barry's doing these big exaggerated bumps off of it.
Mm-hmm.
So early on, like in a promotion where you don't necessarily see guys doing a lot of like crazy stuff, you have this guy like flying around the ring doing these big bumps. It's going to catch your attention.
And one of the things that I really liked in this match was Barry Horowitz, in the course of this match, is doing, you know, he's selling well and everything, but he is also, I mean, I guess I can't swear to this being the fact, but it sure looks like to me that Barry Horowitz is making real sure that he is not doing anything that might take away from what the babyface is doing. He's not doing anything cooler. He's not doing anything better or different. He is doing stuff that is straight up just, he's doing real basic stuff that doesn't compete with what the babyface is doing, so that the babyface continues to look good. And I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, and I will say the one thing I did like the super kick Barry Horowitz did. That looked like he killed him.
Oh, that was great. It was different from what Owen was doing. It was for a cutoff spot, fantastic. You know, it did a great job for that.
Yeah. And the commentary, Gorilla was fine, but man, Billy Graham was just killing this match for me.
I thought Gorilla was fine. I appreciated Gorilla doing some of the stuff that Gorilla would do, where he would kind of discuss some of the technical aspects of things. Like Owen would go for like a pin, and Barry would kick out. He'd be like, "Well, he's not gonna get that pin without hooking the leg," and things like that. Like, we're complaining like Owen was like too high up on the shoulders, couldn't get the lever, like that. Little things like that, I actually maybe remember like some of the things that Gorilla did. And Gorilla wasn't as. I loved the pairing of Gorilla, obviously, and Bobby the Heenan.
Mhm.
But people sometimes give like Gorilla like trash because it's like, oh, he wasn't that good. It's like he wasn't like your technical guy, you know.
It's just
But his commentary was still entertaining. I felt.
I describe Gorilla as this way, and why those people are wrong. And Dave kind of hated on him too. But like, here's why Gorilla works, because Gorilla, when you listen to Gorilla commentary, it takes you back to your sitting on your living room floor with your feet kicked up watching wrestling, and your uncle or your grandpa is sitting in his easy chair that's his chair, smoking a cigar, drinking a beer, and that's like the shit he'd be saying like in his chair while you're watching. That's like what Gorilla commentary is for me.
Uh,
Like it'd be
yeah,
like
like,
you get, oh, he
yeah,
didn't hook
he's
the
never,
leg, like
yeah, he's never gonna win. Never gonna win without hooking that leg. It's like, yeah.
I remember, this is weird, but in my neophyte watching days when I was in high school, my dad had done some with his dad. There was he went to a show and saw Yukon Eric take on Dick the Bruiser and that sort of stuff. But we're watching this show and I'm having a good time, and it's time for Lex Luger versus Rick Fuller. And when they come walking out, Dad looks at him and goes, "Blondie's going to lose." And I was like, "Well, what?" He goes, "Look at them. Blondie's going to..." I'm like, "Okay, Lex Luger's like a former heavyweight champion, and Rick Fuller's like a guy named Rick Fuller." So it's just a weird, just unlocks a weird memory, I guess.
Yeah, that's why I think like we've talked about this in a way past episode, but I think like a good announcer is like there should be like a comfort like to like a good play-by-play guy. There should be like a paternal aspect to like a good play-by-play announcer, because if you think about like the really good like play-by-play announcers over the years, like Lance Russell, Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone. Tony a little less. Tony is more of like a legitimate sportscaster. I think that's where he works. But like Gorilla, Jim Ross to a degree, um, Lance Russell, like they have that paternal aspect to them.
I'm in this place. I have a different kind of dichotomy, or a different like categorization in my head, because for me, I want my play-by-play guy to know everything that's going on and to be able to tell me what's happening in the ring. And if you've got a heel commentator, you've got a heel commentator. But if you've got a face commentator, that's kind of what I would like for it. And I think that's part of why I liked Zbyszko on the Nitro crew, is because he would do that kind of thing. You'd get his inside take about, it's a human game of chess, but he'd also be like, "Okay, sure, that's a choice you can make. I wouldn't do that though. That's going to have repercussions." Or not kind of more like that stern uncle that's trying to teach you how to do something right, I guess.
Well, and I also think there's like old school Jim Ross does it really well. But I listened to Lost from Pro Wrestling Only. He talked about this once. Might have been with Chris Zellner. They were talking about like your lead commentator, and I think it was in particular with like Lance Russell, and how like you shouldn't bury your like lead play-by-play guy, because you're actually like burying your top baby face in the promotion, because that's the guy that's there every week and with you like every minute. And I thought about that, and that's really true, because I think that's why Michael Cole has never been treated seriously like ever, because he let himself get buried early. And if you go back, like I think early Jim Ross is like really underrated for like when heels will say shit and like Ross will just like shoot like one-liners back at them that are like really good. Or like he'll just sarcastically reply. Like Jim Ross has like a really good, or even like when you go to like Heyman's Danger Zone, he'll just be like, "Well, speaking of something that sucks, like we're going over to like,
Yeah.
there he just really got that part of it really well. And like I think that is part of why Michael Cole has never been accepted, because he lets himself get buried. Same with Coach. Coach is terrible though, but Coach got buried all the time.
Let's Coach came off as a moron. That was Coach's big problem. And especially in those backstage segments with The Rock, what happened there was Coach was not just made fun of, but made a complete and utter fool of. So why would you want to listen to him? Because this is the guy that gets slapped around and gets his head stuck in the toilet, figuratively, I think. So, you're basically saying, oh, no credibility at all for this. We're just not doing that. We're not doing any credibility, and you're like, oh, good, this loser's on my screen now.
Yeah, pretty much. Or why am I gonna take him seriously? He's a pussy. But I thought this was a fun little opener. I thought it was pretty.
I understand the intent of it as a tryout, or just to see, even if Owen had been signed, like to see how, just to give him, like, get him reps, had him warm up, even though he was not a rookie at this point. But I guess I was a little it's a fine match, and it's decently long. It's at least 10 minutes probably.
Yeah.
But I guess I was like thrown off at it's like how much offense like Barry got. Like he had like some stretches where he was in control.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like it's like a jobber. Like I wouldn't give him as much much offense as he got. But that's also like I was used to like squash matches on TV when that's not really what they were going for there. It was more to get actually like, and this is probably comparable to something that you would maybe see like on those old like Boston Garden show, whatever. It just, instead of Owen Hart and Barry Horowitz, you'd get like Jose Luis Rivera in it, or Dusty Jones in like a 20-minute match with Baron Cicluna, or
Oh God. I've seen way too many of those over the years.
Johnny Rods, maybe like
Johnny Rods okay though.
If I was going to guess, if this was a tryout match, and it felt like a tryout match, but if this was a tryout match, then what we got were long stretches of seeing Owen on offense and selling both, so that they could get a look at it and be like, okay, he may be able to do some really cool stuff on offense, but how does he handle working from underneath? How well does he do with that? And that would be my guess, is a way of being able to assess that with just one match. We got one match, we got to see this, give him 10 minutes and tell him to have it go back and forth, not just be a squash.
Yeah. And I think they picked a good opponent to get like good stuff out of him. So that was a fun little opener. And then it just so happened we decided to randomly do. Matt suggested we do it. So I think this was Saturday or Sunday.
It was the 30th, so that would have been Saturday. It's because this got a lot of hype from the weekend, and we've talked about really Los Grande Americanos, which the backstory, if you don't know, because we talked about it on the show, but if you've been hiding under a rock, like they gave last year, like in 2025, I think they gave Chad Gable, which I'm sure was like they didn't know what to do with him, because I think that the backstory also is that his contract had been up, I think, with 2024 maybe, or early 2025. There was interest from AEW because he would fit with AEW.
Yeah.
And they re-signed him to a contract just so he wouldn't go. Probably paid him an increase in money for him to stay.
And it was clear instantly they had nothing to do with him, because they
had nothing to do with him, and it's almost, I felt they probably were punishing him because he got re-signed, and immediately like they had him like do a losing streak.
Yeah.
To the extent that he was on TV. So it's like, oh, you're just bitter that you
You're bitter that you had to shell out to keep this
Yeah,
guy.
which that's something I do want to discuss as we get into this about how embarrassing it is that they didn't see anything in either of these guys, that they shuffled them off to what they see as like a seed brand.
Well, and let me get more backstory. Like, so they put him in the gimmick of all of a sudden they had him in a mask, and he started going on because I think if I recall, like it came like was he losing to some of the lucha or the Latin talent that went there? I think he lost some matches, and he was like, all of a sudden he comes in a mask. It's like, I'm gonna be the champion of lucha. I'm gonna defeat. He said he was gonna do that, and all of a sudden you see him. Like, it's Chad Gable. It's obviously Chad Gable in a mask as El Grande Americano. And obviously the joke being, Starbucks coffee, Grande.
Yeah.
Americano coffee. But it's
big American.
Yeah, they were doing, it seemed like it was, given their leanings, you're not going to convince me that it wasn't actually meant to, like, kind of make fun or be risque with regards to lucha.
What was dumb is I think what was dumb with it, though, is they debuted it in Europe. That was kind of like dumb at the time. I didn't get that, but
so they're doing it like basic. What people said was a racist gimmick. Probably, I'm sure there was some intent to kind of make fun. I don't know. Like, I don't think that, unfortunately, given how they are, I don't think that they necessarily get the benefit of the doubt.
I think people are a little too quick to play that card. I would say it's in poor taste, but I wouldn't call it racist.
Anyway, he gets injured. Chad Gable gets injured.
Pretty seriously, too, I think.
It was enough, I think, to keep him on the shelf for like a bit. It wasn't like he's going to be back in like a month. I think it was like
a 4 to 6 month injury, I think.
Yeah, at least several months. So they're like, well, what do we do? So they weren't doing anything with Ludwig Kaiser, who obviously used to be with Gunther, but that like Imperium ended.
Well, because Ilya got hurt, so then I think they didn't have anything for him to do.
Yeah, so Ludwig Kaiser, they put the mask on him. And we talked about this on the show. The thing that made it different is that before, when Gable was El Grande Americano, he was a heel, but Ludwig Kaiser basically just babyfaced it. And the thing that he did it differently, which I want to get into a little more, because that does play into why. It does play into things. He decided to play this as serious as a heart attack, where it's like, I'm not a heel. I'm actually a luchador, and I love the Mexican culture, and I respect Mexican, and I'm going to be their champion. I'm going to be their hero, and played it straight, and spoke in Spanish. Was baby facing the entire time, and slowly started getting this build. And then of course they whoever actually booked it, don't know that it was really Undertaker so much as Jeremy Borash, but
I think it's probably mostly Borash, with Taker having some input to it.
Yeah. But they booked it to where it's like, obviously the heel, when he was able to come back, the heel Gable comes back, and meanwhile, you've had Ludwig Kaiser as Grande Americano, slowly be building up this babyface, appeal and response and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it ultimately worked out where they were feuding, and there's two Grande Americanos. There can only be one. So they had him finally Mascara.
Chad Gable was the original. Chad Gable was like the original. So they did kind of alter his name. Now I do want to give a lot of credit to the booking here. There are a lot of promotions that would have quashed this, because they kind of did stumble into it, but once they realized they had something, they went full bore ahead with it. And like, especially in WWE, this would have gotten buried because it wasn't supposed to get over. And I think where a lot of other companies would have screwed this up is they would have tried to do a fuck finish to get another payday out of this, versus where they paid off the stip. And I think they also ended it properly.
Oh, I should add, Chad, before you start talking.
Yes.
This is all done in AAA, which, obviously the WWE owns, at least the majority. They own it.
They sure love plastering their logo all over it. That's for sure.
Yeah. Which they don't have a TV deal for yet.
They do it.
But
It's on Fox Deportes.
and well, at least in America they don't.
Yeah.
Yes, it may be in Mexico. But they've been showing these shows on YouTube, and I watched this on YouTube. I think the entire show's on YouTube. I just
Yeah,
skipped
it looked
the name
like
of
it was.
Yeah. And generally speaking, like I've seen some of the WWE AAA stuff. Like by and large, it's not good. It isn't. And if you're going to compare it to CMLL or even other lucha promotions, it's not the same. It's not going to be as good. They've really, really Americanized it, and I don't say that in a good way. But
it does seem to
this
be doing.
angle was hot. This
Yeah.
angle was hot, and the stuff they've been doing with it has been good or entertaining.
I think, and I think it needs to be said too. They've been commercially successful with this to this point.
So to expand on a point that you had said a minute ago, this should not be the bar. But if you go back to when we started this podcast, which was
2018, I think.
Yeah, 2018.
Yeah. If you go back to the beginning, I remember one of the phrases that I overused was that the WWE refused to strike when the iron was hot.
That's wrestling.
They would not do it.
I think we can expand that out to wrestling as a whole the more we've watched stuff.
Well, WWE is especially bad about it because they won't strike while they wouldn't strike when it was hot because it wasn't their idea. Yeah. Therefore, they would not reward things that organically got over.
They would actively bury people that got over too.
Oh, look. Here, my easy go-to example. Zack Ryder. There you go.
Yeah.
And so instead, this particular thing, Kaiser goes there and he starts doing it as a face. And it works, and then they have OG Grande Americano, and they don't kill this. Like, Gable comes back and they're not like, okay, you got to take that off. You're done doing that. They could have just been like, okay, back to what it was. But I don't know. We don't know. But I strongly suspect that Jeremy Borash looked at Taker and went, we can't kill this. If we kill something that's this over, then we're going to destroy our crowds. They're already not happy with us. We're going to destroy any trust they have in us. And in this hypothetical, Taker going, I think you're right, let's roll with it, puts him miles beyond someone like Triple H.
Oh, Triple H, again, I'm beating a horse here. But he's a shit booker. He really is. And that more and more people are kind of understanding that now.
Yeah.
I think...
Well, especially after they just spent the last month burying every young piece of talent they've had that was like...
in the last month, in the last few, like 3-4 days.
Yeah.
Like they had Obafemi lose. They had...
Why did they do the Brock? Why did they... The Brock thing literally pisses me off because I knew they were going to do that. I knew they were going to do something counterproductive like that because they've done it before.
Yeah.
Meltzer shitted on the fact that Oba lost, and he's like, well, he's not going to kill him. It's like, does this alone kill him? But now you've also made him just another guy.
But you took away his accomplishment, though. That's the problem.
Well, yeah, you had it like, oh, he's this unstoppable monster. Oh, look at Mania, he like beats Brock, but then Brock like retired, so immediately took all the heat away from that moment. No one cared about that. It's all about, oh, Brock retired. And then it's like you have nothing to do with Oba because you can't have him beat Cody or Roman, which you actually should.
Yeah.
That's what you should have done. You should have been like, no, these guys, like, we need to change it up. You should have had him pin one of them, but God forbid, those two will have a stranglehold on things, for the next few weeks to months to years. So you don't do that. So it's like, oh, well, we'll have him be like, have an undefeated streak where like, we'll just have him face guys every week and beat them.
It lasted.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, boom, his first loss, actually, he goes 50-50 booking with Brock. And Meltzer said this, and he's right. It was almost a throwaway comment when he was discussing this with Brian Alvarez. where he said like in wrestling before WWE, like when you have guys in the same level, you can do like 50-50 booking when you do like 3 matches and you have like the rubber match. It's almost a throwaway when he said it, but it's like guys on the same level. It's like,
Yeah.
if you're gonna do like, oh, I'm doing a,
If you're
I'll use them because
if
they
you're
had
Ric
the
Flair
Mania
and Ricky
match.
Steamboat,
Yeah, or if you're, since they just had the Mania match, like that, if you're doing like, we're gonna do a feud with Cody versus Randy Orton, you know, both like main event guys. It's like, okay, well, Cody beat Randy Orton at Mania. Maybe it's like, oh, this time Randy will beat Cody, and then SummerSlam will have like, who wins the feud and everything. Okay, fine. Like both main event guys. Owa's still like on the rise.
yeah, he's
Like,
at that. He's at that. He's at that. There's not a word for it. But what where he was at. There's a very vulnerable area when you're on the rise where you can't really take losses. And he was once he beat Lesnar, he was in that vulnerable, like you can't beat him for a while, which they then did because the thing is, this is why the Gunther thing I never had when he was retiring Legends. I'm like they'll botch this because they don't understand this part. You have to let people know that they're safe, especially WWE fans. You have to let fans know you are safe to emotionally invest in them because we're not going to chop his balls off like
Yeah.
early into this. And then they chopped his balls off pretty much.
They just never did anything with them. And by doing that, the answer is like Obafemi beats Brock, and then what does he do? Is he comes out and starts doing open challenge stuff? What you're saying
He
is
went like a month without wrestling too in there.
Yeah. What they're saying is we don't really care. And so you are actively showing the audience to not care either. Like you said, don't get invested.
That's bad, but also I almost feel like what's worse is continuing with like they're just fucking over the young guys. Like they had Jacob Fatu against Roman at Clash of Italy, and if Jacob lost, like he has to join the bloodline and acknowledge Roman Reigns, and he lost. And then like on Raw, he had to acknowledge Roman Reigns. He's joined the bloodline, and it's like, yeah, the guy that you've hyped up is like this guy's different. He's like
He's a
unique.
monster.
He's a monster. Like he's actually has like some charisma, and he seems like he has like that ick factor. And it's like, oh, you made him like Roman's lackey. And someone made a joke about it, and it's like they're joking, but it's also one of those things like that's actually not a funny joke because that's exactly the sort of dumb shit they'll do. The guys, they were like, hey guys, don't worry, like trust the process, like let it play out. Like what Jacob's just going to do is like he'll just be part of the bloodline and then slowly finally 2 years in turn on Roman, and then he'll get like the big moment. And it's like, yeah, god damn it, that's actually what they're going to do, right? They're going to just continue this because it's like it'll be 2 more years or however long at the bloodline where it's like, oh, there's dissension, oh, like the slow build, how like Jay he's gonna turn on Roman because like, oh, you're abusing me, it's like treating me like shit, and finally like he's gonna turn. It's like, yeah, you're gonna do that. You're gonna slow build. It's like, oh yeah, he lost, but it's okay. Like months down the line, he'll get his. It's like maybe I don't want that. Maybe I've seen this for like the last. People noted this is a crazy statistic, but like, oh, dissension in the bloodline, all that. The bloodline angle from when it started to now has lasted longer than the American
like
Civil
six-
War.
Well,
The American Civil War
six
in
years-
our country
we're
lasted
6
less
years in-
time than the Bloodline saga, and it's still going on. This lasted so much longer than the NWO.
we're almost-
WCW
Yeah,
at
that's
this
what I
point,
was gonna
think,
say.
I think was fucking done.
This is
I
like
think it was
we're
done
like going
by
into
the
year
time-
6 around SummerSlam, I think, because that's when it started.
I think
There was a slight
remember,
break
like,
though because the
2000
bloodline was kind of dead for a while going into Mania, and then they reformed it.
I think so. 2020 was like the year of COVID, so like Roman was even out because he
Well,
has
I
a
think
history of
he- what
leukemia,
year
like
did he- what year
compromised
did-
immune system.
What year did he
I
wrestle?
think
with
2021,
Jay?
right?
So it'd be 5 years.
I think 2021 is when the bloodline started.
Okay.
I think you're right.
That's when
Yeah.
Roman came back and it turned heel. And I think like sometime in 2021, the actual unit of the bloodline started.
Okay.
with Heyman
That
and
makes sense.
Usos. So we're like 5 years in, and it's still going.
And the NWO didn't run that long.
No.
And it's not as successful as the NWO was. Fight me. So there was you said having a young guy and then killing him, bringing him up. I can't remember specifically. It was in the ruthless aggression era or something, and they were rising both Edge and RVD at the same time. And then what they did is threw them in a feud with each other. And I remember seeing this going, there's no good outcome for either one of these guys. Because whoever wins just beats somebody that was on his level, and whoever loses is now not on the same level. So there's no elevation out of this.
Yeah. Because they never beat the previous generation. That's what hurt, like, the ruthless aggression eras. They never beat the attitude era guys. And now you have whatever's post that have not beat the ruthless aggression era guys.
But now you're getting that. You're getting what, again, has hurt many companies, including the WWE, many times over the years, where you have the old guard who are at the top, the main event, like they don't want to give up their spot, and you have these young guys who it's like, well, to freshen things up, and like really, like maybe you could make some good money, you could refreshen things because things have started to soften, like big time. They try to act like they're not, but they are. Interest is down, gates are weakening, ratings are bad, and don't give me the bullshit about how like, well, they've changed the ratings metrics. It's like, it's bad on Netflix too.
Yeah,
like,
but they changed the metrics, and Collision's doing better than ever. So I don't know what.
Dynamite! They changed the metrics, and Dynamite just did like a huge number last
well,
Wednesday.
Like Collision's like doubled their ratings this year almost.
Look, Dynamite did like a little over 700,000 on TBS or whatever it airs on. That people have argued till they're blue in the face, like, and acted like no one, 0 people, or like, maybe a few thousand watch on Max. Bullshit. Like, Meltzer has talked ad nauseum about how, like, even he does it. He said, like, I don't even fully believe it's as many people as there could be, but I've had multiple people tell me it's like X percentage of the people who watch on cable, like this percentage watch on Max, and it's a large percentage. I think it's like 30 to 40%.
I had to crow on that too, because at first I didn't think a ton were gonna watch it on Max. And they did like the first, like they said like what we're watching. I was like, well, I mean, I watched it on Max too. At first I thought it was like, oh yeah, Shad and I are like the only 2 people watching this on Max. But then when they started saying the numbers, I was like, holy shit, I was way off on that. And but that's the thing. They're like, oh, that's just like pro AEW propaganda. It's like, well, no, because a lot of like AEW fans like me were all like, yeah, no one's gonna watch it on Max. Then they said the numbers. We're like, oh, I was wrong.
People are cutting the cable. Like, to take it in my world, like my wife and I, like we have to renovate our house. We're finally gonna renovate it soon. Like,
yeah,
probably by like the fall, early September. We're gonna start doing it. I'm gonna have to move out of my house for like a brief period, 8 to 12 weeks maybe. And when I do that, I'm gonna cut the cable. Like, I still need internet, but like I'm gonna get rid of cable.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna watch on cable anymore. It'll just be through Max.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it late. There's many people who've like cut the cord anyway, and they're just gonna be watching stuff. They just watch stuff on Max or some streaming subscription. But anyway, like Dynamite, I bring all that up to say that Dynamite got 700,000. Like, let's say they get 40% of that, so roughly like 300,000. Then for Dynamite last week, they did 1 million viewers.
Yeah.
They just reported tonight that SmackDown Friday did like 1,029,000 viewers. And again, Meltzer's like, well, they changed the metrics, and they have changed. Nielsen has messed around with the metrics and underreported stuff.
Yeah.
But even so, let's just go with the numbers as they are. Roughly like 1 million people watch Dynamite, 1 million people watch SmackDown. So now Dynamite is actually getting the same ratings as SmackDown.
Well, and the other thing
Netflix,
is,
I've talked about Netflix. Sorry to cut you off, Rod. I've talked about Netflix on here before. To the extent that they're putting out numbers, Dave Meltzer's even said like has broke down like they're playing with the numbers and making it seem like more people are watching, but basically same day and live, people who watch Raw. So same day, they're like not as it's airing live, but people live, and then people who maybe watch it like, oh, I'm working or I can't watch, the kids go to bed, so I'm gonna watch it like 11 o'clock at night. So like same day, are probably like 1 million or less, and maybe they
Well,
watch it, they have more watch after the fact. But I'm bringing all this data up to point out that Raw and now SmackDown are basically doing the same fucking numbers as Dynamite is doing between cable and
and
Max.
Collision's pushing on NXT too
You still
because
have
they're
fucking idiots who are out there being like, they're gonna get canceled when they're pulling the same.
Yeah.
Numbers, and they also are going to be, they're not, no one's paying Con $1 billion for that content. The companies that are getting $1 billion for that content are doing the same ratings. If I'm like Paramount or whomever, it's like, why would I want to like not give them? I get the same fucking ratings as WWE for a lot less money. So
well, the
tell me
thing
like,
with
oh yeah, Ellis would definitely like TK.
The thing with
Stop.
Paramount, though, is I've argued this a lot, is if you're Paramount, having AEW in the UFC is the best place to be in, because I would strongly, and I still strongly argue, that UFC and AEW have a much wider crossover of their fan base than WWE and UFC does. So like when people are like, well, why would they go against TKO? It's like, because like they have a great partner program for UFC now. Yeah, it's AEW, because that is a stronger like sports fan base than WWE
I mean,
has. And the same thing is like um Collision's pushing on NXT because NXT ratings have fallen that far. So I mean when you take in the difference between one being on broadcast and one being on cable, well, so NXT is now losing to AEW's B show essentially.
I think there's something to what you're saying, because we can be like, well, they've been around forever. Maybe I'm tired of the Death Riders. But if I'm someone who like I'm a UFC guy, AEW's on, and then I turn on to it. It's like, and I see John Moxley like in a match, big jack dude, like rough looking, and he's bleeding in some brawl with Darby Allin or whomever, bleeding. I'm gonna be like, oh man, damn, like what's going on there? I'm gonna stop and look. If I look at the WWE, what am I seeing? Oh, I'm seeing a fucking clown at Danhausen doing a skit. I'm gonna be like, what is this shit? Like, that's not what I'm gonna be into. So yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe there's like
Well,
some
I'm
more
going.
appeal
And
from
and
AEW.
the people who have been standing there say, well, Paramount can't do that because TKO won't let them. It's like, who the hell's TKO to boss Paramount
I
around?
literally saw people. I legit saw a couple people being like, "Oh, well, like," essentially saying like, "Oh, like Paramount," or not Paramount necessarily, but like Paramount or ESPN, like Netflix, like they basically work for TKO because like they're paying them. It's like, dude,
No.
hold on, you have that, you don't understand the relationship, do you? Like, if I am paying you for a good of service, I'm I am financially obligated to pay you, but you have to deliver that good or service. And I actually have a lot to say if I don't like the good or service that you're providing. If I'm paying you a service and your ratings are start going to shit,
I'm
and
going to
the,
quit
the
paying
quality of
for
the
it.
stuff, it's like I'm gonna be like, and maybe I'm contractually obligated to pay you this, but it's gonna be just like the Fox situation where I just start grumbling about how like you promised me this and you're garbage and you're not bringing it in. And even people like Sean Ross Sapp tried to white knight for the WWE. It's like, well, they weren't canceled. Fox just like the contract ran out, and Dave Meltzer
Yeah,
had to
so
like
that's being
hold his
canceled.
hand. He had to hold his hand. It's like, look, if WWE was doing what it was supposed to be doing on Fox, they would have renewed the contract. The fact that they didn't and were telling everyone like, hey, this is like they screwed us. They said they deliver their promises and ratings and everything, and they didn't. They canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can be
Well,
like,
and
you can whitewash it and try to be like, well, it's just the construct, and it's like, yes, if it was doing well, they wouldn't have let it expire.
and
Yeah.
and the things that they're talking about, like the super petty stuff, is like a WWE thing more than a TKO thing. Like, because I mean,
Yeah,
when you think about it, like in the grand scheme of things, like to take it to WWE, it's an issue because it affects them. But like to TKO proper, that's like WWE's problem. Like, what do they care if it's on the same station as the UFC? Because if you look at like the demographics that watch AEW, I'd be like, yeah, I'm good with that being on the same channel as my shit because we have the same demo of male watching both of us. So I'm going to assume there is some crossover, or we could get some crossover from that.
look, Meltzer, I love Dave Meltzer. Like, he's a funny human being. I've met him. I told you he's a nice guy. Has a underrated sense of humor, but he's been around decades. He knows his stuff. He is again trying to like hold people's hands and explain them because people are in the last few days, weeks, they're still with the argument. Like, oh, they're still buying the bullshit that one guy, Nikki Pickles, has basically saying like, oh, like they were told last fall that they were canceled, they weren't going to renew. And Dave Meltzer has been more explicit lately. Has been like, explain to me how that makes sense? Where if he were actually told that, why would they be getting more in bed with AEW? But even if you ignored that,
Why would they be
if that
making
was
DC
true,
comics?
if that was true, then what would you be seeing Tony Khan doing? You'd be seeing Tony Khan and AEW making all sorts of moves about cutting people, letting people go, making moves that they know, like, well, we need to find a new like broadcast partner. That's awesome.
The
Yeah.
last
They'd be.
the last DC
So just
crossover event had every cover for like the main crossover series knockout had
Yeah.
AEW variant covers every issue.
Yeah.
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 Like, so
And
Dave's making that point,
I
but
could.
people are trying to art. Oh, go ahead, Brad. Sorry.
Oh no, I gotta look. Go ahead and talk. I was gonna.
Oh, Dave is making the point because people are trying to argue this. It's again with the whole like, oh, like TKO, like they won't like, again going with like, oh, they've been canceled, and that AEW won't find another partner because like TKO won't let them. They won't let them join the partners that they already have. And Dave Meltzer has tried to again hold their hand and be like, let me explain something to you. Netflix has a deal with TKO for WWE. They have Raw WWE content on Netflix.
Yeah.
Netflix just hosted a UFC and promoted a big UFC event. The Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano, which we talked about on the show.
Yep.
And it was a match that the UFC was going to make. And people don't believe Dave Meltzer, but it's like he doesn't have inside information. But Dana White was bragging about how like, oh, I just got a match that fell into our lap and like we're gonna make it happen. It's gonna blow your minds. It was that fight. It was Gina Carano versus Ronda Rousey. The problem, what happened? UFC wanted to like lowball the pay. Netflix came along and it's like, we'll pay you more money just to have it on our show, promote the show.
Yeah.
And so they did it. And Netflix promoted a big UFC, which is a competition. A big MMA fight in competition with UFC.
Mm-hmm.
And they still did it. And they're partnered with TKO, obviously. They still did it. And it's like UFC just, even if UFC was grumbling, TKO was grumbling, they had to fucking take it. Because what are they going to do?
You're not going to, you can't dictate to Netflix.
They don't have the power there.
No.
And so if people really think, oh, TKO is going to block, if Netflix is like, I want AEW when the contract's up, I want AEW. You think that did they honestly think like TKO could be like, well, you can't do that. You have our content. No, Netflix is going to be like, sorry, doesn't make financial sense. I want them. Paramount, Paramount's going to, if the merger goes through, the acquisition goes through, they're going to own a piece of AEW, and they revenue share every pay-per-view. It's like, why would they been like, well, we can't continue that relationship because TKO doesn't want it. It's like, no, you're dealing with bigger sharks than you have any comprehension.
Yeah.
You think that the people in TKO are the big dogs, not compared to some of these other companies. So it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
it's just not happening.
Difficult. So okay.
We've gone far afield. I was just complaining initially that There you go.
And then
Yep.
I was complaining that Triple H's booking is shit, but the booking of at least of the Grande Americanos angle has been good. But I'm telling you guys, like, part of this is like it's good because it's not the main roster WWE. So they can fly under the radar and do things that the main roster would never do. Triple H would never do.
It's good because there's a lot of reasons it's good, because they didn't overthink it. They executed what they did well. Because this is a great example of when people poo-poo stuff, like, because it has tropes or like it's basic, like the booking's basic or the writing's basic. It was like, well, no, this is like basics done well will always like outshine something that's overthought. And I think they went with it. Like I think Borash and Taker deserve credit because they didn't fuck it up. I know that's really low bar for wrestling, but they didn't let ego get in the way. They're like, hey, we've got something here, let's go with it. Like, and I think that's how you have a lot of success. Like, I think a lot of people would have screwed this up in one regard or another. I think it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing with like the execution of this match in particular, that WWE proper didn't see anything to do with them. And here you have this match with honestly just massive heat to it. Like, massive heat, sold out building. And I think, like, I would say for me personally, if WWE could deliver something like this a couple times a year, maybe even consistently on pay-per-view, I'd probably give their product a look more often, because I enjoyed this. I don't think I'd watch AAA because it's just going to be WWE light, but I was kind of like, I enjoyed this. This was good. Like, I was satisfied with what I got. The announcers were up and down, but like they explained the angle really well to me. I did like, after some early hiccups, I did enjoy JBL's commentary, because he actually, for a WWE announcer and in a heel in general, he latched on to, yeah, of course, original Americano is mad. This guy stole his identity. I'm like, that is good heel commentary, because you're latching on to like truth and like character motivation and some nuance. Like you like.
Yeah, that was something that back in the day, and I'm not comparing JBL to like Ventura, because I felt Ventura was better, but that's something that in the day, like if Hulk Hogan cheated or something like that, Ventura would point it out. He'd get all like apoplectic about it, and it's like, oh well, Ventura, Jesse has a point. Like, he did cheat. Like, he was being kind of a dick. Like, so it would actually, and maybe as you're a kid, you shrug it off, but as an adult, you're like, he has a point. Like, and then that was the case here. It's like, well, JBL's kind of right. Like, I would be pissed off. This guy comes and like he takes my gimmick, and then he's now beloved.
And it makes it lets you know that the original thinks he's right too, because he does have like a legitimate grievance. He's just a dick. And then there's other things like, so aesthetically, I liked how they really embraced this cartoony comic book dichotomy of how they dressed, because like original is very dark colors, like dark red on black. Chad Gable mean mugs a lot, and like his posture is very aggressive. And then you have the proper Americano, who's in yellow and white, and he's very energetic and poppy. He's moving around a lot, and like, so they really set up like the good and bad just visually, which I liked.
The classics are classics for a reason, and the reason that you learn your basic match structure is because it works.
Chad,
what do we have in this match? Huh?
Chad should have grown a goatee for this, though.
What do we have in this match? We got the opening. We've got Shine. We've got Cut Off for some heat. We got a big comeback. We go into a big finish. They don't do anything overly complicated in this match. They don't need to. and that's great. There's and Matt
I like the guitar
has a
shot to
different
start
opinion on
it.
some of it.
I like the
What's
guitar.
that?
I like the guitar shot right off the bat too.
Well, yeah. In the course of this match, there's some interference, and so there one instance of interference does run a little bit long. But what is that interference doing? Why is it running long? It's because these four guys are dragging each other away from it. Two of them ran in to jump Ludwig Americano, and
The
then
Creeds.
and then the other two jumped those guys, and they fight their way out. So they're out of the picture now. And these are guys who had been affiliated with both of the guys in the match.
I think that
Like,
the two that saved Ludwig, I think, are Rayo, the original two, I think, and then then when the original came back, either they split them and they both added a partner, or the original brought in like the kind of the I would kind of call them the sloppy guys in like second rate outfits, which I kind of liked.
yeah,
I kind of like the shitty outfits that his guys had.
one of them's just wearing American flag gear, and the other one's wearing like tack vest with an American flag patch slapped on the back, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, you asshole, that's some good heat.
Like I like their
I
outfits because it looked like two guys that he just picked up and he said, "Hey, we're gonna go to Walmart and get you some wrestling outfits." And I
yeah.
thought they really like I liked how kind of dumpy they were. It was really I don't know if they did that on purpose, but I just thought it was well thought out.
Y'all like the run-ins and the interference and stuff
I
more
was
than I
fine
did.
with it.
I was
Let
fine
me
for this
put it that way.
kind of
I
match. I'm
thought
fine with run-ins.
I I feel like I perhaps, maybe in fairness, I perhaps am a little too fatigued with the 20 run-ins that happen in your average Roman bloodline match. But
Yeah.
I felt when all that when the in the middle of the match you had the run-in interference stuff, I was like I threw up my hands. I'm like, this is just overbooked bullshit. The run-in or interference that I did pop for and I liked was, and people like Ariel Helwani made a big deal about this, and people have hyped it up to the point where I do feel like there's a little bit of astroturfing that started happening with this match because it got a lot of heat,
Yeah.
like a lot of online attention, which is why I wanted to review it for the show. But people were like, "Oh, what are the best entrances of the year? Entrance of the year." And the entrance is basically like you had like a bunch of mariachis in El Grande Americana masks playing on the rampway as
You mean like that
the Kaiser
time
Americano.
Lesnar was celebrating his title win and dancing,
Yeah,
which I still laugh
they
at
were
that.
they were playing the music wearing the mask, and it's like it was kind of a cool visual, but it's like this is not entrance of the year. And even Meltzer had to
That's
be like, this like Mystico coming into his music with a singer doing it is like way bigger deal than this. But
it's not
was
even
fine.
it's not even that outstanding for Lucha Libre. Like I mean, there's been past events for like like it wasn't LA Park, I don't think, but like La Park has come out with Michael Jackson impersonators like
Yeah,
to dance with him.
Yeah.
it was a good entrance. It was fine.
But that's kind
I
of
bring
par.
it up.
I would say that's par for the course for Lucha though, because that's part of like the grandioseness of it.
I bring it up because they had like mariachi band in mask and El Grande Americana mask.
Which I
So
thought
the
was
one
cool.
interference,
I thought that was cool. That was a cool
it was
detail for them.
cool.
Yeah.
It's not entrance of
Yeah.
the year, but
No.
it was cool. But I bring that up because after the interference by the Creeds and some of the other stuff, there was more interference where it looked like you had one of those masked mariachis show up and like briefly attack OG Grande Americano Gable, and the mariachi pulls off the Grande Americana mask, and it's Pimpinella Escarlata, one of the obviously long-term like lucha exoticos, and that I pop for because I've been a fan of Pimpinella, and I like the exoticos, but I
don't think
was a fan of Pimpinella, and I was like, Pimpinella.
Yeah, I
And that
popped
was
for
it.
too.
he pulled off his
But
mask
that's an
and
Easter.
did like a little dance,
I
and
feel
then
like
left, and that was it. But I'm
I
like,
feel
okay,
like
that's fine.
I feel like that's a fun Easter egg for those of us that have like watched AAA before and know who that is too.
Yeah, yeah.
But
That I like.
those two instances, with the one you just mentioned and the one earlier, that's the only interference we had.
And if you're
And part of that interference was getting the other people out of it.
yeah, but
So, Matt, I totally understand. Completely understand where you're coming from. However, this was
It's fine.
different.
but you're gonna.
So I don't have a problem with it.
Well, and the other
You felt
thing
it
is,
worked, and maybe it did.
but the other thing is like if you're the Creeds, you're really gonna sit back there and let your boss like lose his like mask like without doing something, especially when he's in trouble. Like, of course you're gonna like run in that instance. I mean, I agree with you, it's overdone, but I feel like the gimmick and how they'd set this angle up, like you have to do some sort of like bullshit in there, and it didn't necessarily. And the other reason it didn't bother me is because it did a good job. It imperiled it imperiled good Americano in like when he had the upper hand, and then they got neutralized quickly and they didn't figure into the finish. So it didn't bother me as much. If they had fucked him over in the original one, then like I think it'd be a problem. But I think it was executed. It was a little too long. Like I agree with that. Like they should have chased them off instead of having all that like entranceway stuff. I think is where it went a little too long. But like as far as like the execution, I was like, yeah, that's fine. I'd expect interference in this sort of match.
I did feel it was a little overbooked, because then after like that interference, you had Andrea Brazzartos.
That was dumb.
Who is like the announcer or has like a backstage interviewer for AAA, who in real life is Ludwig Kaiser's girlfriend. She showed up, and then you had like OG Americano Gable act like he was gonna attack her, but then he didn't, and he starts beating up on Ludwig Kaiser Americano with like the bull rope, and I felt that was unnecessary. Like again, it's more like
the bull rope stuff because the bull rope thing. This is just personal. You probably don't agree with me. It's like the corporate WWE thing that like upsets me, because like if you're gonna do a bull rope, you have to do a hanging spot, and like they're too pussy to do that because the advertisers wouldn't like it. So I didn't like what they did with like the over the face thing. Like just fucking hang him.
Or you need a cowbell on it to hit the guy with.
Yes, I agree.
You need one of the two things.
Or hog tie him.
Yeah. I feel at that point they were both kind of bloody. Get their mask ripped.
Because there's an angle in Puerto Rico. I should put it on the show just so we can talk about where Stan Hansen attacks Carlos Colon and hog ties him and starts riding him while like swinging his hat around. It's like such an asshole. It led to a barbed wire cage match, but it was good shit.
And then it goes into what I felt is actually the best part of the match, was like the last fourth, where it was just the two of them in like a war of attrition, where they're just hitting booze on each other to get the pinfall or submission.
Yeah, and I have to give the commentators credit here. I was shocked, and I don't know if they went off script here, but they shut the fuck up for the end run. Like they shut up.
Yeah.
They started letting
it was very
the match.
muted.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh my god, like this is great. And like I like that part. I like that they bled. And what I really liked, it was a very small thing, but when Ludwig does his like finisher, he has to like he limps into the first bounce off the ropes before he gets his momentum up, which I thought was great selling.
So he did. Thank you. That is something that I did love, is they do this whole thing where OG's attacking Grande's leg and that sort of stuff. And he gets up and he fires up and he goes to do something. He goes to hit the ropes and just stumbles and drops. So when they go into the finish and he stumbles into the ropes, but he keeps going until it builds, I was like, you know what? I'm good with this. Because what did we do? We established that he's fighting through it. We established that
Yeah.
this is slowing him down, and he's pushing through it. And what the hell move is that he did for the finish? Because
It's like some sort of running like headbutt.
it's a running diving head. Okay, it's like the Ilya Dragunov thing.
It's weird. It's weird, and visually it's looks odd, but it
works.
got the pinfall.
It works.
Gable did a great sell job because I think he even did like an inverted like flip for it,
Mm-hmm.
and it was great selling because they both made it seem like they've been through a war, and so they've hard fought victory.
there's a part where I didn't like the camera work in this, but I'll bitch about it later. There's a part where like they're both like down and they're kind of getting up and like staring each other down as they're trying to like struggle back to their feet. And I was like, that is like such a great detail that like WWE doesn't necessarily let breathe because they have to be too cinematic about it. But it's just like they really pulled hatred off well in this.
Yeah.
And like
right.
And like they're taking it seriously. I feel like with a lot of WWE stuff when I watch it with stipulations, like they're not taking the steps seriously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's this had gravity to it. They trusted the guys in the ring to handle this. They let it have this, big feel. They did this right. And you know what? If you were to come to me and say, when WWE took over AAA and all this stuff, and then they said, by the way, if you explained the whole sequence of events to me, and they said, so they're going to have Chad Gable show up, but he's going to be like a mean luchador named El Grande Americano, I'd be like, okay, that sounds right. But then he gets hurt, and they replace it with like Gunter's sidekick, and I go, wait, what? And he gets over as a face. I'm sorry, what? And it really works. Okay, you're screwing with me now. And then they have this great big blow-off match where they do everything right, and it's like a big all this. I would have laughed at you. You're screwing with me. I would not have believed they could, but I have to now give credit and say they did a good job with this. They did it right.
They did. But I'm more of a hater than you guys.
Well,
I'm more of a hater than you guys are.
I think they paid it off well. Like I think they, because like this is where TNA always fucks up. Like TNA would have fucked something up here. They sent the crowd home happy. They gave them what they wanted. They got a lot of attention for it, and I think they did exactly what you needed to do to like for like new eyeballs or people like wanting something to latch onto, maybe to watch more. Like they executed that perfectly to like make people interested, happy. I think they did a good job. Now, what I will say, because there's a lot.
Wait, hang on. Let me say one other thing real quick. I'm saying they did all this and they did it right. This is remarkable because when is the last time I've said something like that on something this company's run?
It's been, I'd say Bailey's and Sasha's last time.
It's been a long ass time.
But I think this is what happens when you don't overthink. When you don't overthink.
Yeah. So that's that. What, Matt? You're much more reserved about it. Go ahead, and I'm saying it's good, but I'm also like, this sort of thing should not be a rarity for a big wrestling company. I think that's
what frustrates me is how low wrestling has the bar that something like this is actually kind of remarkable, and that they delivered and they didn't try to fuck the fans over.
Well, so the thing is, I agree. Like it's a good match. I know we talk about like, oh, we don't rate on the show. Yeah. We do kind of all internally in our minds we rate. I felt this, and I want to complain about this in a minute because I have like I saw this and I want to vent based upon like the social media reaction. But this was a good match. I would probably give it 4 stars. That's where I felt it is.
I settled on 4 1/4 is where I settled.
I feel 4, and when I complain a little bit about it, get the real hatred out of myself.
It had some minor issues, like nothing. I think nothing like when you're talking about the match itself. I don't think it's like necessarily anything I want to focus on. It was an enjoyable match. Like I think for me personally, if it wouldn't make, it's not anywhere near match of the year for me. If I was to make like a comp of, okay, here's the stuff that was like, here was the best stuff from 2026, it would probably make that if you did like a match.
It should.
Yeah, if it's
in my opinion, it should. It was a good match. I think if you're dealing with a match that's 4 stars and up,
yeah,
that should, in my opinion, that should.
If you did a comp of the decade, I would probably say it needs to be on a decade comp. I'm not 100% sure on that because that can get that's more because this decade has been absolutely just loaded.
I'm a little, as critical as I could be, I'm a little more forgiving just because like I look at the entirety of things.
Mm-hmm.
So I could be like, this should be on. I might say like this should be on a decade comp, just because the entire angle from start to finish and paying it off was so well done, or at least I think cohesively done in an entertaining way that it should be included.
And I think it's going to be an interesting. I think when you go 10 years out, I think this match might actually kind of still be around and be like, because I think why this match will probably actually be more talked about and watched than like a lot of WWE stuff from this era is because the angle around it's really good, but like the historical context around it, I think is kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, so like I feel like saying it's kind of historically significant in a way. I think kind of oversells it, but I do think it's kind of like historically. I think it's gonna endure over a lot of stuff because like there's a lot to talk about with it.
I will say this, and I will give Gable and Kaiser credit. You can't look in the future with a crystal ball to see where the careers are going to go. I do think that this, for both of these guys, should go down as like this is a legacy match for them. Like if you're a fan of those guys or you want to look at their career, this is a career match for them. Like, yeah. I'm not saying this is the peak of their career necessarily, but I'm saying when you look at their careers, like this is going to be in their body of work where it's like, this match was good. And I said 4 stars. It's not even like, oh, it's a 5-star classic. People remember this for decades to come. It's just, it was, they played their parts exceptionally well. Their work was good. The angle overall was good. Historically, this is relevant, especially to their careers.
And for the promotion too, I think.
Yes. I want to say 2 things though, before this is not even the really critical stuff. But one, I'm less forgiving about the booking in the sense that I agree with you, both of you, that it's like I'm like WWE product. I'm surprised. Like they let it play out. They it's like I'm a little less forgiving. Even though I understand, like it's almost like a rarity these days, and you should get some credit. But I give more credit to booking things well versus just I'm gonna let it play out and just not give in to my worst tendencies.
Yeah, but I mean the thing is though, we can say like I think good booking is going with what you get sometimes. Like versus I think the fact that they recognize what they had is good booking in and of itself, because a lot of times and we've seen it through numerous promotions over decades of when they're actively resisting what they have.
Yes, there's something to that. I know I'm perhaps being a little unfair, but I'm not going to give as much credit for be like, well, Taker and Borash just like did listen to the devil on their shoulder to overbook it. And they just kind of like gave fans what they wanted. I'm gonna I will get the credit, but not as much credit as I would otherwise.
But I think back to things like I think things back to like Super Sunday though, where like that crowd was pissed that they fucked Hogan over.
Yeah.
Like because I mean that devil that because that little wrestling devil is there, like, hey, if you do a fuck finish,
Yeah.
you can get this crowd back, which
Yeah.
you won't, but like that devil's there
But
though.
but that plays into my second part where it's like, well, where do they go from here?
I
Because
don't
I
know.
don't know that you're like, you said a minute ago, like, oh, this could like get eyes on Nate on AAA, and it's like, yeah, it could,
Well, I don't know where
but
you
where do
go.
you go from there? Because AAA is actually like not that good outside of this angle. This angle was hot
No.
and it was well done, but that's what AAA had going on. They don't have jack shit underneath that. Like they have some good wrestlers. They have Elihu Del Wagner Jr. They have like Vikingo, but they're doing like fuck all with them.
Well,
So I don't.
that is
It's
that is so that is true. I think that was in my thought process, but I will say, and this is not like a defense of them, like as someone that's done like a lot of long-term fantasy booking, it really is fucking hard to follow up a hot angle. Like
it is.
sometimes like
I
sometimes like you have to eat shit for a while and start building up the next thing, because
mhm.
the thing is, like, if you're lucky, sometimes you can get that next thing like geared up while you're doing it, but when you're running with the
Yeah.
hot thing, like you don't necessarily have the next thing in your wheelhouse.
And that is, in fairness, that is hard to book. I just don't think I don't see where they're gonna go,
No, I don't
where they're
either.
gonna get. It's gonna be, but I
Because
think
the thing
even
is, they need
Jake.
a villain. They need a villain that would, like, I don't know how you get a villain that would create that same level of investment with them.
What they should do, I think JBL was even asked and said, like, kind of said that Ludwig Kaiser should continue. He should continue. It's like they should. Like whatever they do with AAA, I can say like I don't know where they go from here, and I don't think that given their history that they're going to do something like to follow it up well. And AAA doesn't have really much anything going on with it, but the Ludwig Kaiser thing has obviously skyrocketed. They should continue having him be El Grande Americano, babyface the motherfucking shit out of this guy.
Oh
and, like,
yeah.
Yeah,
and go forward
you'd
with
be
him.
if you didn't do that, that would literally be booking malpractice.
Just turn and look and do a Xerox of what Mystico's doing, and just being like, "Hey, Grande Americano's going to be on the show. Have him come out, have a match with somebody, win. Let the
Yeah.
big baby face
I
win."
think the problem
Now-
is though. That's what I would do. But I think where mine is how they follow this up. It's like, well, who do you get like that can, because your heel, like he's gonna stay over, but like you do need a heel to like help you elicit that reaction. I'm like, well, who do you get for that?
Okay, this is off the top of my head, but I have an idea, a fantasy book idea follow up. Okay, please bear with me and tell me if this is a stupid idea. We just had this huge, big, difficult match, and Gable Americano attacked the leg a whole lot. And to his credit, Kaiser's still selling that leg after the match is over. Like, he didn't quit. He's hobbling around on it and stuff. So going forward, you have Kaiser or you have Grande Americano coming out, babyface winning matches and stuff, but you never have him quit selling that leg. And you talk about it as this is the an injury he sustained in that momentous match that he had. OG Americano harmed him, but here he is. He's pushing through. You know, Grande Americano's here for you. He wants to be here for the fans. So you have this way of still talking about him, and then you just have somebody be a complete and utter bastard and clip that leg with something. Just bat, kendo stick, whatever fits in the culture of what you're doing. Have him attack that, and now you have this guy who not only is going up against your beloved babyface, but he's such a just nasty little bastard that he decided to attack that injury, and you've got a process of building up another story.
Oh, look,
I actually have an idea.
Okay.
Wait, hang on. Let Matt say his. I want to hear Matt's, and then I want to hear your idea, please.
Well, I'll just give my idea. There's some more discussion I want to talk about.
Okay.
Everything in general, but how about this idea? There's tons. The bullshit about the WWE is you have so many fucking people on your roster, and then on Raw or SmackDown or the pay-per-views. Sorry, premium live events.
I
You
have
have like
pay-per-views again.
4
Yeah.
or 5 matches, and you have maybe like 10 to 12 people on any of those shows at any given point, and yet you have this huge roster. How about you take whoever like person on the fucking mid card you have that you are doing jack shit with, and how about you only need like 4 in a year. You have someone. It's like, you're doing anything with Rusev? Nah, man, he's in catering. All right, man, let's send him down to AAA, and you can just have like a rotating, like every 3 months, you rotate some mid card act to show up and be like the heel of the season for Grande Americano. And you do the classic shit that you always would see in the territories back in the day. It's like the heel shows up, he attacks Grande Americano, there's some bullshit, whatever. And then you build towards like, a feud between the two of them. And at the end of like the 3-month mark, you have like the big match. Grande Americano, like, wins champion. Not, well, I mean, you probably should put like your championship
Well,
on him.
that was my
like
idea. Was
he's like the, he wins the feud and then you move on to the next guy. And you literally could do like 3 to 4 of those a year, 3 or 4 month feud per person with guys that you have in the WWE roster that you're not doing anything with
well, I was gonna
or
say.
minimally with, and that could continue working for like at least the next like couple years, and you could still keep things fresh.
I was gonna say. So I think the next move would be you have him challenge Dom for the Mega title at Triple Mania. I think that's the next thing you build to.
That maybe you could. That probably would be a good thing.
That's probably
Because
good. Dom can get heat, so I mean, I think that's probably the best move you could do, because then you go to Triple Mania, that gives you the summer, because it's in September, so it gives you the summer to build that up. I think that'd be a good move for them, at least to get you. That gets you to the next place.
So I have the hate segment I want to get into briefly, but I wanted to give like a love segment, because before we review this,
it's legitimately good. Before we get into the hate segment, it is legitimately good.
I'm going to give props. I want to give props because I've talked about on this show before this match. I gave him props to Ludwig Kaiser and how I was surprised and a little bit in awe of how he took the character and got it over and really got all this beloved heat playing this character. And I was talking about how did he do it? Like, he just, because he actually showed respect and he baby-faced it, but with sincerity, where it's like, you know what? I represent the Mexican people. I love the Mexican people. And it's like, everyone knows it's a fucking German dude in the mask. He's not actually Latino. Like, but he's like, I don't care. Like, and he's not making it a joke. He was taking it seriously. He's like, I love the Mexican people. I represent them. Like, fuck these guys. I'm gonna, and played it serious. Now, in the build up to all this, I've actually heard a lot more information about Ludwig Kaiser. He did an interview recently, or maybe it was an old interview that resurfaced recently. He was talking, like the real guy, talking about how when he was a kid in Germany, his dad and him used to watch Lucha together. And his dad was like this big Lucha fan. And so Ludwig Kaiser, when he was like a kid.
That's fascinating. I wonder how they watched it.
I don't know, but like, who knows? Like, his dad could have been like a fucking tape trader. Like, Ludwig Kaiser's not that old.
Yeah.
He's not that old. He was born, I think, in like 90, 91.
Okay.
So he's like in his 30s, but it's like, yeah, like he could have been a kid and the dad would have been like, the dad could have been like a tape trader.
Yeah.
In like the late 90s, early 2000s. Like, he still could have seen it. But he said he and his dad watched Lucha. His dad was a fan of like, his dad used to play like Mexican, like, rock songs or whatever. So he would like be grooving to like Mexican songs like in Germany. And that's another thing that you don't appreciate. It's like, there are a lot of guys who right now with the WWE, it's obviously like you have like Obafemi or other people who are like, they're basically washed out collegiate athletes who it's almost like a flip back to like the territory days where they would just some big roided up like ex football player or just bodybuilder would be in the gym, and some wrestler would come up to them and be like, "Hey man, you ever thought about being in wrestling?" And it's like that's how you get guys like the Road Warriors, who were some of the biggest stars in the entire industry for years. Like that, they weren't like, "Oh, I loved wrestling. I'm a fan since I was a kid." It's like some dude came up to them in the gym and is like, "Hey man, you got a good look. You could do this wrestling shit."
Or
And the
you're
rest
Lex
is
Luger and
history.
you get Ron Simmons in.
Yeah.
I just had this flashback of Butters from an episode of South Park. Hey, you want to make some fucking money?
Or you're Bill Watts and you're hanging out with Wahoo McDaniel and you see his wrestling check and you're like, oh, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, like there are people in the industry now who are like, even for places like Germany, it's like, well, yeah, you know what? You're probably in this because you were a fan as a kid, and
Yeah.
whatever reason, this interview he said like he watched lucha when he was a kid, and his dad played Mexican music and everything. So like he actually did have this appreciation for Mexican culture. There was a video that populated that people posted on social media in the last few days, and it was Ludwig Kaiser, probably back when he was doing like Imperium stuff, but it was like from 4 or 5 years ago. Maybe it's a little more recent, but it was way, way, way before the Grande Americano stuff. At least like 4 or more years ago, where he's with guys like Luchador. He's like singing with Latin talent, some of the Latin talent in WWE or elsewhere. They're just like goofing off backstage, and there's like a Latin song playing, and he's like singing with them, and it's like he knows all the fucking lyrics, and it's like this is a guy who, it genuinely seems that this is a guy who somehow like randomly had a lifelong, I don't know if this played into like, well, we had nothing for you, like you want to do this gimmick, maybe he volunteered for a gimmick, I don't know, he got this gimmick, and it wasn't just like, well, I'll make the best of it. This is a guy who you ran into a unique situation where you had a guy who actually deeply appreciated the culture, both of Mexico and of lucha libre culture. And so he was like, I'm gonna take this seriously because actually I'm gonna love this. I'm gonna love
This
this
is like my
gimmick.
dream come
Yeah.
true.
Yes. And made it his own and has done a great job. And I in recent weeks, like I've told you, like I've lauded this guy, like he's doing a great job with this gimmick. Now I actually I bookmarked this because someone actually, well, goes into my hate. I'll go into my hate, but Ariel Hawani was like
Ugh.
about this match and everything like this, but someone responded to it, and I bookmarked it because it was actually super relevant. A guy responded as to like why Ludwig Kaiser got so over and why he's beloved, and why he you could see like he got a ton of face heat in this match. People chanting for him, people loved him. And these aren't just like WWE fans. It's not like a bunch of gringo white people in the audience. This is actual Mexican people. A guy responded to Ariel Hawani. He's like, as a Mexican, I can tell you why Kaiser is so over. Excuse me. He's like, he became Mexican. He speaks Mexican, not Spanish. Now, my wife is from San Antonio. My wife has a Latina background. She's not Mexican, from Central America. It's the family's from Central America. But I've been to San Antonio a lot. There's a lot of like people who are Latino from San Antonio, have Mexican ancestry by and large. So when this guy is saying like he speaks Mexican, to me that means like not Spanish. Like he's speaking like slang.
Yeah,
much like here.
It'd be like
It'd
be like if you came to the Midwest and you said certain terms that like maybe Shad and I'd be like, oh, okay, like you speak the lingo of the area. Like okay, this is gonna be a really dumb comparison, but it's an idea. So if like someone came to Kentucky and Ohio, and they're like, well, I'm from the Midwest, and they start calling it soda, it'd be like, you're not from the Midwest, dude.
Yeah.
Or you're trying too hard to be like corporate. Like,
okay, I will admit, I use the term soda, but I don't know. Just use it. It's this. I couldn't tell you where it came from, but I recognize that that's an oddity.
I
for
say
me,
I tend
right?
to say soda. I just like it better. But like in
But
like casual conversation, if they were saying soda, I'd kind of be like, "Oh, you're probably not from around here then." So like, but that's like how you would know
it's
lingo.
it is it's a geographic cultural colloquialism kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
but like I'll use an example though of how authentic it is. If I ask like Gemini or Chat GPT something about it, it says pop, and I've called it out before. Like, are you using that because you know my location? It's like yes. I've tried to
Yeah.
be like more true to your region. So,
Yeah.
but that's kind of like what I was like. I don't know off the top of my head. There's other things like about the Midwest where if someone said something. Well, I'll use a great one. So there is this HBO doc where they're talking about something that happened in Louisville, and they have some woman on here like, yeah, I'm from Louisville, and I'm like, oh my fucking god, I'm not watching this because
Hmm.
if you purport to be there, like you can say like I say Louisville a little wrong, but you can tell I'm trying. I just can't roll it
Yeah.
properly.
People who go, that is Louisville, Kentucky, are just like,
Yeah, I just can't roll I just can't roll it properly. But like that's one where I was like, no, you're not from there. Like
no,
you're
you're
posing if you're
either
calling
that
it.
or you decided that you're going to buck what
Yeah.
the local statement is for some damn reason.
Or like someone this happened recently. Someone was talking like if like they're like, oh, the Mothman for like Ohio and Kentucky, like no, that's a West Virginia thing. Like
That's yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Matt, please continue your point.
yeah,
Well, no, I get it. Like, cause I understand what you're saying. Is like, oh, he speaks Mexican. It's like he's speaking the cultural idiom from that
Mhm.
yeah,
geographic area. You guys just explained like the Midwest thing. My family's I grew up in the DC metro area, but my family is from the South. So that sometimes I'll pronounce certain words with like almost like a Southern accent or like the way my parents said it. So and my wife will like sometimes be because she's like from Texas, but there are things like for example like I have a legal background. My back like and I when I say the word lawyer, I have to carefully pronounce it. I don't say attorney. Attorney is easier, but when I say lawyer, I have to carefully pronounce it because otherwise I'll slur it with
Lawyer?
like this southern, and it sounds liar.
Hang
I'm a
on,
lawyer,
hang on.
lawyer,
I'm just
lawyer.
a I'm just a
I'm a
simple
liar,
small
liar,
town country lawyer.
lawyer. Yeah, I like.
You got to do this if you're doing that
Crawl
voice
it.
because you have suspenders.
I'll crawl it.
your ways
And my wife is
confuse
like, "Are you
and
saying
anger me.
liar? Like what? What?" And like, no, like a lawyer. Like she's like, "What are you saying?"
Yeah,
Like, so I get it. Where
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah,
person's like,
yeah.
he speaks Mexican, not Spanish. He has a Regia girlfriend. Regia is like it's kind of slang in Mexico too, because like his girlfriend Andrea is from Monterrey, and that's
Mhm.
okay.
Regia is like women from Monterrey. That's kind of how that's like a you have a Monterey girlfriend, even though she's not actually from Monterey. I think she like lives there, went to school there or something. But anyway, he goes to the soccer games and drinks the same beer just like us. He sings popular Mexican songs, like I mentioned. It feels legit because it is legit.
And then Ariel
And it's
Helwani
like,
blocked him because he's a spur.
but this guy said this, and then with that other information that I referenced that I heard, it's like, motherfucker, this guy who I've been lauding him like this guy's doing a great job. He's making his own, like he's being really respectful. It's like they ran into a unique situation where a guy they either gave it to him or maybe he volunteered. Where it's like this is a dream.
They figured out
Guy
how to
was
do
and
territory wrestling.
he treated this with respect because he legitimately did respect it and he saw an opportunity. And honestly, this is a rare situation where it's like, don't go back to being Levi Kaiser. You're
Yeah.
Grande Americano. This is who you're meant to be. Like
Mhm.
you're a German dude. you're a German dude in your 30s. You're meant to be like a Mexican.
I bet
In your
Triple H
soul,
Triple H is burying him on the.
you're a Mexican man. Just
Yeah.
embrace it and love the culture. And he's got like a Mexican girlfriend.
And Triple H would
I
make
think
a
she's
point
actually
of
born in
burying
America.
him.
She's just Latino, but you know what? God bless him. He's doing a great job.
Yeah, Triple H
He's
would make a
doing
point of
stuff
burying him
right.
too.
So,
Yeah.
good on him. Absolutely.
I wanted to give all that. I want to give love.
Okay.
So the hate, and I want to be fair because again, I said this is a good match.
Yeah, and I'm gonna
It's a
devil's.
4-star.
I'm gonna. I just as a warning, I'm gonna devil's advocate a bit. I don't necessarily believe it. I'm just gonna counterpoint a little bit, just in the interest of like fairness, because we do that. And there is one I kind of agree with. But go ahead, Matt. Let the hate
Well,
flow.
it's a little after 11 now, and I was more fired up. Maybe it's like because it's late, and I've given him love. Maybe I'll make it more brief than I would have otherwise done. But I watched this match and I enjoyed it. But I've had like 2-3 days of discourse on it where people were like, match of the year could like Ariel Wani was the most like ridiculous. Where he's like entrance of the year, feud of the year,
he's a
match of the year.
He's a brain damaged clown that only like that's totally fed brained. Like
he's I do think he's a clown, but he's also frustrated because in recent times, I mean like the last like couple months, he's been very critical of TKO and the WWE.
Yeah, but that's only because he's only doing that to take passive swipes at UFC. Because it's been he's still butthurt like a decade later because they rightfully banned him from their press for clown behavior.
But he's now like jerking them off about this match, and it's like as ridiculous. He was the most ridiculous, but there are other people who are like, "Oh my god, match of the year candidate," and even Dave Meltzer, who knows better, is like, "This is a match of the year candidate." And it's like, oh wow, like, and that's partly why I was like, we should watch this. Let's review for the show. And I watched it, and again, I gave it 4 stars. And I talked earlier, like this should be on like your best of the year comp. Maybe should actually be on your best of the decade comp because of the entirety of the angle and everything.
And the historical significance, yeah.
Historical significance, and I even said, like, I think that for Gable and Kaiser, like, not that this is the pinnacle of their careers, but even if they have even more success in their career, this is such notable and well done that this should be like these are career matches. Like
I know the word we were tiptoeing around is I would call this their magnum opus.
Maybe, but it's certainly like if in the expanse of their careers as workers, this will be like notable as like a well done match, a great angle. Yeah. And it should be, and then all credit to them, pat on their back. But the people giving this like match of the year, and even Meltzer being like match of your candidate, it's like it's not, well, not remotely.
So
and it pissed me off when they said that. I started to get angry because 2 things like I immediately came to mind was like, and we talked about this off air. It's like we reviewed on the show from January, so people have already like forgotten about it. January, yeah. But Miyu Watanabe versus Suzume for the Tokyo Joshi Pro Princess of Princess Championship. That's a much better fucking match than this. And I think I probably even gave that 4 stars. I didn't give it like 5 stars.
I gave that 4.5. I think Meltzer gave that pretty high too.
I'd have to see if I gave it more than 4. It's at least 4. Maybe I gave it higher.
I think I gave it 4.5.
That's better.
I like
that. That's better. And another thing, like Meltzer said this. That's your candidate. And it's like the wheels start turning in my mind, and I thought because it just ended, I'm like discounting the match where he won the title because that wasn't really a match. But every defense in the only like 5-6 week reign that Darby Allin had as AEW champion, every defense that Darby Allin had for that championship. Defense, not when he won the match, but every defense. So against like, what do you have? Kevin Knight, Pac, Speedball, Ciampa. I think. Ciampa. Ciampa was probably the best. Takeshita.
I think Takeshita was the best.
I felt Ciampa may have been the best, but even MJF. All of those defenses were better than this match. I understand like angle wise, maybe you would push it over, but just based on like the match, all of those Darby Allin matches defenses were better. Than this match.
I'd probably put Tanahashi and Okada over it. That would be a little closer, but I think I would edge Tanahashi.
I'd put that over it.
Yeah.
I'd put Takeshita Okada over it.
I don't think
Point is, like,
Tanahashi Okada is like a clear step above, but it's pretty high up there.
Could
I
I
even
posit a thought,
I hate
Matt, and you
this.
tell me
Sure.
if we were to take this idea of match of the year contender and say that it is, I mean, what, we're in June now. We're halfway through the year. If we say this is the WWE match of the year, do we believe that would be a fair statement?
I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with that because the only other match that people will probably say like is
Roman
going to be
Punk.
fair, like Roman Punk, and that isn't. That's like a 3.5 to 4 star match that people have hyped up to 5 stars. Even Meltzer gave 5 stars, but Meltzer, I don't know what the fuck he does. I gave love to Meltzer earlier.
I think sometimes he just doesn't want to.
He grades WWE in a curve.
Yeah,
I went back looking through some stuff and I found that statement he said where
he says he grades it on.
He can't watch, if he watches WWE stuff and then he watches other stuff, the WWE stuff looks soft and slow in comparison. And it's just like, dude,
it was like 2 years ago, I think, that he had like this. It wasn't even like I watched Okada versus Omega.
That was like Shingo, and it might have been Shingo and
ELP.
Yeah.
It was El Phantasmo.
Yeah.
Which no hate to either one of those guys. Both those guys are great workers.
I mean,
but he watched.
El Phantasmo isn't like world class. I mean, Shingo is world class, but
yes,
El Phantasmo is good, but like not like amazing.
I can believe that those two had like at least like a 4-star match together. I can believe it.
Yeah.
And so he saw that, and I think he gave it like, I don't know if he gave it 5 stars, but he gave it like a high rating, and it probably deserved it. And after that, he had this coming to Jesus moment on Observer. He's like, yeah, man, like I don't know, like I feel like I overrate those WWE matches. He went right back to overrated the WWE. It's like Dave went right back to doing it. Like literally the next week, he's like, oh yeah, I think that Cody Rhodes Solo Sakai match was like 4.5 stars. It's like, come the fuck on, Dave. Yeah. Like it was not. No, it was not.
Now I'm gonna slightly play devil's advocate here, and I do believe this one. I might. So I think it is way overhyped. It's not match of the year. I think it's a significant match. If you want to say it's a match of the year candidate, I might say okay, fine, whatever. It's not going to actually be match of the year, but if you want to put it on that list, just as if you're using that as like a significant match of the year, fine, whatever. But I would say in defense of WWE fans that are overhyping it, if I had to watch the shit they've been watching for the last year, like when you're in the desert, like everything, like a McDonald's burger would taste like the best thing you've ever had, Like, so I think you have a fan base in the desert and just starving of good, like anything. And this was really good, probably better than anything WWE's done in a long time. And the other thing that I've noticed is for as much as like WWE fans shit on anything wrestling related and they act like they don't like wrestling and they want the cinema, if you give them even like a smidge, a slight taste of wrestling, they always lose their minds about it. So I think that's some of what's going on. And Errol Hawani is a clown. Like I don't take anything he says seriously because I wish he would go away more than a lot.
But I got anger because people hyped this up, and when I saw it, I'm like, oh my god, are you serious? Like this is not. And even Meltzer, it's like you should know better, Dave. Like this is not a match of the year candidate. Because I can probably think of like 10 matches off the top of my head. And that's just of matches that are like widely accessible that are better than this match.
And like, yeah. And
I'm sorry, if I could name 10 matches, it's like you're not in a candidate if I can name 10 matches that are better than you. Because it's like once you reach like 10,
well,
a level of 10 matches, and you're like the 11th match, you're not match of the year candidate.
Well,
if I have to choose between 10 matches, and you're outside of that, you're not match of the year
and
candidate.
It's tough. It's tough to break through into that caliber of match anymore. Like if this had been even like 10 years ago, like yeah, this would maybe be in the conversation, but like you have to like back in the day, this probably could have won match of the year some years, but like the thing is if you're not like almost perfect into like a 5-star match these days, you're not getting there. And even if you're a 5-star match, that doesn't even cut it some years. And I would say, work-wise, this is a bad year for this match to be in contention, because this, like, the high-end stuff has been really high-end this year.
Yeah. And I'll even throw out a caveat where I am certainly far more forgiving and am willing to give a high rating and rank things higher, more or less, if it's not just like, oh, it's pure from a pure work rate perspective, this is 5 stars. Like, I will give a match that is maybe of a lesser work rate if the overall story and angle contributes to it to a level. Like, I even will do that. Like, and I feel like, again, the storyline, the angle, and the way that both men actually played their parts in this match, it does elevate it.
Well, work rate.
So I'd be willing to give that. I'd be willing to give that. But even so, I still don't think I would not rank it higher than a lot of other stuff.
If you're talking about, like, if someone's going to try and, like, justify this on just a work rate thing, I would not. I would immediately discard their opinion, because there is good work rate in this match, but, like, you're stripping so much out of this match if you just talk about work rate. Like,
yeah. The crowd elevates this match massively,
and the story
which
does, and
is great. Like, obviously, that's what you want, because if you go out there and have a 5-star technical classic and the crowd's dead, you don't want to be out there anymore.
Well, it's not a fight. That's not a 5-star match.
Yeah, you're just done. You're out.
You can't have a 5-star match.
But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You can't have that without crowd buy-in, and a great crowd makes a huge difference. I can't really put a rating on this match, because I look at it and I'm like, okay, this is really good. Crowd's really, but then on the other hand, I'm looking at it the way I look at it, and I'm like, so I can't nail down a rating for me.
Even things, but I think why just work rate, like, it strips things out that I think add to it, like their outfits, their mannerisms, their character work. Like, there's a lot of little bits that someone focused purely on work rate is taking away from the match, which I think hurts it. Like, I don't think you can talk about this on just a work rate level. I think it's much more. There's a lot of depth to it that you kind of peel away doing that. But I agree. Like, I think that the overhype's there. But, like, WWE fans overhype everything. Like, honestly.
I've started to get, like, not to be conspiratorially thinking, but I'm like, at this point, like, you're fucking astroturfing. There's some people who are astroturfing and be like, match of the year contender, best feud of the year, best match of the year, best intro. It's like, no, it wasn't any of those things. It was a well done angle. It was a good match. It's nowhere near match of the year.
Yeah, and I actually think
in the 24 hours since I watched it, I've cooled down a little, but I watched it and I got worked up. I got angry. I'm like, fuck this. Like, it is not. People overhyping this.
It's recency bias. It's a big dollop of recency bias.
But I do agree with you, Shad. If you're like, well, Matt, would you say this is the best WWE match of the year? I'd be like, you know what? Actually, yeah, hands down.
But
it probably will remain the best WWE match of the year.
I think the ironic thing, though, is, like, Ariel Helwani and, like, losers like him that are hyping it up that much, in a month they'll have totally forgot about it, and people like us saying, like, well, this wasn't a match of the year, are probably going to talk about it in future episodes for years, because it'll be a good example of, like, character work and all that stuff. So I think that's kind of the ironic part of that, is the consumer with the double O brains are the ones that'll move on from this, because they're just on to consume the next product. But no, I think it was good. I don't think Matt's hate of it is unjustified either. But
there's valid criticism to be had, and if you wanted to give me a hard time for me saying I don't know what I would put it at, that's fair too. I know what my preferences are and what I lean towards, and part of that is, frankly, not anything under the TKO banner, and I look at this and go, this was really good.
No,
I'm really impressed.
I'm legitimate. Like, if they put this on stuff like this on WWF programming more, I would tune in more, because I'm glad. I will say this. This might summarize my thoughts on it. I probably would not have sought this out on my own. I am glad that Matt brought it up because I am glad I watched this. Because it deserved to be watched, is how I feel about it.
I get that.
And that's not
I get that.
And I feel like some of the stuff we said is like backhanded compliments, but none of it is. Like, I do think it deserved to be watched. It like saying like they ignored the wrestling devil on their shoulder is not a backhanded compliment. That is a legitimate compliment in wrestling.
Look, sometimes we yell about AEW getting too excessive with their stuff, and it's just like, for God's sakes, that should have been the finish. Why are you still going? They don't do it as much as they used to. But yeah, I mean, there's valid criticism to be had, and I am glad to see this happen. I really am. I'm glad that this happened because how can I say this? If we've got one company that's the big one that everybody knows, but kind of sucks to work for, and we got the other company that not as many people know, but it's the place to work for, we're going to have this huge imbalance.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be better for the wrestlers if both places happen to be a good place to work for. Yeah. It's just at the moment, I'm not seeing evidence that that's the case.
No.
So, look, also, a whole bunch of the, a whole bunch of the WWE leadership. It's like, could probably take a knife to a bunch of that and improve their improve their reputation a lot.
But I think that's about it for this week. Anything else?
So.
Yeah. You guys want to add?
No.
My voice is shot, so I know it's time to start wrapping up when my voice starts going. So I think that is it for this week. Thank you for joining us as always. This has been Matt, Shad, and Brad. We've been in 3 corners, and you've been in the 4th, and